Happy Sunday. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well. Had a long weekend. Um, Nutty. As in, I'm nutty or the news is nutty. Hello, everyone. Hope you all didn't miss me too much and that you're not severely disappointed by the insane lack of streams. I'm sorry there's been a bit of a failure with the whole streaming stuff recently. Just one of those weeks where I was in Oxford on Friday and then I had some stuff to do on Saturday and then just stuff, stuff got in the way. Why is the chat not working then? Let's refresh that and see if that starts working. Oh, wait. I almost put some slop in here today because today feels like somewhat of a nice, or the last few days, if true, is that Tectone guy got served some justice. And I would actually kind of like to talk about that because I always found him to be such a repugnant individual. But yeah, well, it's not just apologising for today. I am apologising because next week I have to drive, unfortunately, my girlfriend back to the airport. She's leaving me. She's breaking up. No, I'm joking. She's not breaking up with me. She just has to go back to Canada. So I can't really stream on Wednesday because I won't have time to prep and I won't be back until late. So we'll see. I probably could have just done a sloppy stream. And I mean, part of it is sloppy, but part of it's also like, God, this fucking Tectone guy is awful. It's like all these horrible people calling each other out. But at least I'm happy because Chelsea won a game of football. They beat Crystal Palace 3-1. Great day to chat about Algeria. Jesus Christ. I'm really enjoying this Algeria meme. What even was the news? That it cancelled some security agreement with the UAE? Is that it? I don't remember. Heaven knows. It was gonna cut the ties, that was it, but it didn't do it. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a horrible on horrible violence, but what can you do? What can you do? Right, we're gonna do the Wordle quickly. Get us into the streamer mode. I'm a little tired, as I say. I was in London yesterday, but yeah. And thank you for all being so kind about it. I just like streaming, so. I apologise. I just showed the Discord. Should be on streamer mode. Doesn't matter though. Why do I have a notification? General chat. Oh, I see. Nice. Netherlands are boycotting the World Cup because of ice. Are they? Netherlands boycott cup. Apparently this is a brewing thing, but it remains to be seen. Imagine that the Netherlands boycotts that before they boycott Israel, because like obviously the US is bad, but yeah. On what Dota heroes and rank are you? I haven't played Dota in about 2 months. I don't really play when girlfriend's here. So yeah, I don't know. I play a lot. I used to play a lot of anti-mage, hard carry stuff, sometimes mid, Void Spirit, Queen of Pain, those kind of heroes. But I haven't played in a while, so yeah. Who you got in Arsenal, Man U? I think Man U will win, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, nobody boycotted Qatar. Well, yeah, I mean, Qatar are obviously human rights abusers. And yeah, many people allegedly died building the stadiums, but it's interesting. Hold on. Covering the ice shoot. I was a big Dark Willow gamer. Nice, very cool hero. No wonder you are a great support. No, I don't play support. FIFA or UEFA are cowards, sadly. Yeah, I mean, if they lost a team as big as the Netherlands, it remains to be seen. I don't know. An anniversary party for the Hungarian. Maybe I think actually the bigger problem, and the reason that there is any potential that they do it, is because obviously fans can't travel, and it's going to create a really shitty atmosphere, particularly if South American fans aren't there. Like, huge amounts of South Americans just say no, famous for creating very good atmospheres and making the World Cup in part what it is. Remains to be seen. World Cup. It's coward. What? Whoever will go on World Cup. What do you mean? Okay, right. I'm gonna go for plead. I've never tried that before. Didn't get a single one. Okay. Found. Sound. No. That's actually a bad way to start. No, there was a Zionist separatist movement in Algeria that made a formal declaration of independence in December, which is going to the Kanzarian. Yeah. Doing all this shit when the World Cup is going to happen. Indeed. I mean, it remains to be seen. Hello, fellow radicals. Hello, AC. We are the party first. I don't think you're first. I'm going to say it. I think that there might have been a few other people. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode of No Politic Here. Oh, wait. You want me to type in first? Oh, I see. Good idea. Oh, okay. That's a great one. So it has to start with an S. Is it too... because it has to be an S. S has to go first because there's no words that's like something T. That's not a word, is it? Unless it's cause another civilian. Yeah, I mean murder is perhaps a better term. I guess kill is just one I've chosen today. Andy Burnham was blocked from standing in elections. Keir is worried. Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks like, oh, maybe there's some more hope in someone like Burnham because Keir Starmer is so atrocious. But then again, like, I think he voted in favor of the, in favor of the Iraq War, right? Burnham did at least. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it is Frost. Maybe no, it can't be Frost because it hasn't got an F. Yeah, it can't be sorbet. It can't be beret because we've already used it. Taro can't be. It has to start with an S. I can't work out what this is. Something. I really can't work out what this is. This is a hard one. Fuck. So it has to start with an S. It has to have an. It's not gonna be that. Like, it's not gonna be like that. It might be strut. That is it. Nice. That was an incredibly good guess. Still Labour shit though. Exactly. Still Labour shit though. I think that's a best summary plausible. W indeed. Whoever put in strut. Well done. Also, you're going to complain. It says 8 here is the one you can't see. You're not going to see it because I don't want to move my camera. I can't be bothered. I'm tired and I've had a long day, okay? I haven't done anything, but Chelsea won, so that's all that matters. Strut was a great guess. Okay, right, something, dominate, alternate, temperate, that's not what it is, shell, ribbon, start SH, what? Ship, shell, it's like, it's something to, these are unfinished, I think, tube, things in London, I don't know, I really don't know. It's literally one, temp, sub, cover, alt. Temp, sub, cover. Yeah, I think you're right. Is alt the answer, though? I think it's like things to cover for. No, it's fill in. It's fill in. Tube, hood, cover. No. Peacock was set up today and couldn't find the Chelsea match. Only the Telemundo one, which was the whole match in Spanish. What a treat. Oh, shell, bow tie, ribbon. And then what's the other? Tube? Just, yeah, types of... Dom alt ship. Dom alt. Enter... Oh, what do you think it is? Dom sub alt ship. Dom... No, we've already had sub. Windows. I think it's... Dominate. It's 8 in the bottom corner, but menu 8. Alt, enter, Windows, Dom, menu. PC keyboard keys. Dom, hood, ship, and 8. What are these suffixes? Dominate, 8, freedom. Okay, neighborhood, friendship. Okay, right, great, thanks, awesome. Right, that's out the way now. Okay, right. I mean, I don't think I really have too much that I have to, like, sort of meme and do before we go in. So, oh, yeah. Actually, wait. Before we go in, there's a video of TikTok's new CEO, Adam Presser, who I'm sure will be a great blessing to the many wonderful content creators on the platform that is YouTube. I'm sure we'll have some cool stuff to say, so let's hear.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024,
Who the hell is Ifat Barak Cheney? Is she related to Dick Cheney at all? No.
tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game. We made a change.
As I've spoken about before, TikTok definitely has a problem with just like random Nazis on the platform. They don't generally have big accounts, but you can't really report them. And they can just post like whatever they want. They can just get away with whatever they'd like on the platform. But yeah, these are really not the people who they're going to go after, is it? The people who they're going to go after are just... The people who they're going to go after are pro-Palestine content creators and even small accounts who talk about Palestine. In fact, they'll probably go after small accounts most to like dissuade anyone from ever starting to make videos. But they're also... I bet if I search Iceman, it'll come up with someone who's got the name Iceman. Hold on. Yeah, look. You can literally go on TikTok right now and find an account that has 1,000 followers just called Eichmann, with a picture of Eichmann. It's amazing what you can get away with on this platform. I mean, there's like Kahana accounts as well. Hold on, I'll show you. Israel nationalists. Let me see if I can find like a Kahana. This person is just reject modernity, embrace Kahana. Zionism is the cure to just Jesus Christ. I mean, these aren't like massive accounts, but yeah, it's certainly quite something. Hold on, let's see if I can find a user who does this kind of stuff. Yeah, like here's an account called National Socialist, which has probably been up for ages, leaving Nazi comments. I know these are tiny. Look at this one. National Socialist, National Bolshevik. I don't know what is going on here. Jesus Christ. I dare to wonder what this account thinks. But this will not be who they're moderating and stuff. What happened to TikTok? TikTok was always this way. If you are far right, well, I don't think it's just if you can basically just do anything on TikTok, and unless you're like criticizing Israel, or you probably won't be getting banned. It requires like a huge amount to get banned as like a Nazi on the platform, it would seem. Okay, but right, I guess with that, I don't really have like much else to cover today, apart from obviously the major story, which is the ICE killing in Minnesota, the second in just like a couple of weeks, right? It's pretty crazy. It's pretty unbelievable, actually. I think we should start with this video, which I believe actually predates the killing, but hold on.
We got another situation here. Let's just listen in for a moment.
No! Fuck you! Stop! Look out! Damn! Just chill. Okay. I'm fine. I don't breathe anything. I'm just angry.
I really like this video. It's quite interesting. It's quite intriguing. Obviously, the guy is very het up about what's going on, but who can blame him? I believe this is pre the killing of Alex Pretty.
7 years old, fucking angry.
This is just absolutely insane. Like, I know the US has done this before, but this is a 6-week full-on occupation of a city with just highly militarized police officers just massacring, well, they're not even police officers, but just people massacring, well, not massacring, but like murdering innocent people in the streets. It's really, really insane.
Oh, fuck off. I think I'll need it, but we'll try it.
Wow. What a scene in an American city in 20...
Didn't the guy pull a gun? I don't genuinely think that you're being serious right now. I don't know. I'm going to check if you've ever commented before, because... No, this is your first ever comment. Are you serious? Are you serious? I don't even think I'm going to show the video. It is just straight up some guy on the ground, Alex Pretty, being killed by multiple ICE agents who just shoot him. And some people are saying, well, maybe it was because one of them accidentally shot his gun. He was disarmed. He posed no threat to them. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, first of all, I think in the context of, like, America forgave Kyle Rittenhausen, basically, and allowed him to do it. And the hard truth is that Kyle Rittenhausen took a gun to a largely peaceful protest to escalate it. He didn't take it to protect property. He took it because he is a very, very stupid right-winger who wanted to go out and kill someone. This guy is at a protest where violent, unaccountable, state-backed thugs, who are recruiting amongst white supremacists, by the way, with, like, full-on white supremacist rhetoric online. And he took a gun there, which he didn't even use. He committed the crime of filming the white supremacists. The white supremacists who are given unlimited money, by the way. And I'm definitely going to talk about this, because loads of people are acting as if, you know, they're kind of like dogpiling on Hassan for talking about the Democrats doing the same thing. Have you seen what the Democrats are proposing as legislation? This is like truly unbelievable. So there's a long Jacobin article that comes from, I think it's called The Lever, and they've been writing quite a lot about ICE money and all of this stuff, so you can check it out if you want. Basically, what the Democrats are doing is they're lobbying that rather than, abolishing ICE, they should just, they should basically give... they should force ICE to wear body cameras. Now, as we all know, body cameras have stopped the police ever killing anyone and ever committing any human rights abuses. The American police are famously brilliant with their body cameras and they don't mysteriously go off. What the Democrats are proposing, seemingly, as this article basically argues, is that this company, Axon Enterprises, who is the country's largest manufacturer of body-worn cameras, have been lobbying aggressively so that they can get a $20 million deal to give all of the ICE agents cameras. And they kind of, at first they had a mask ban, which didn't even make it into the final bill that they're pushing. So, oh, sorry, excuse me. This is what Hakeem Jeffrey said. For weeks, Democrats have pushed House Republicans to adopt strong guardrails and accountability measures, including a body camera mandate and a mask ban, said House Minority Hakeem Jeffries on the State of the Homeland Security bill in advance of the vote this week. The mask ban, among a handful of other reforms pushed by the Democrats, did not make it to the final bill. Oh, wow, how amazing. And one of the, wait, there's another person that I wanted to note in here. It's Ruben Gallego. Look at this. Ruben Gallego, here you go. So, Ruben Gallego, the Democratic Arizona senator, he's the top recipient of cash from Axon, including the company's CEO, and he was the one who reintroduced legislation. He co-sponsored the bill to basically bring in this body camera thing. So, like, they're just like, how can we make money selling body cams to ICE and pretending they're accountable? Yeah, I mean, the thing about ICE is, in fact, you know what we'll actually start with? There's kind of like an interesting video that I didn't watch that the premise of looked kind of interesting. It was called, like, Are ICE the Gestapo? And it's called, it's called I Don't Think that ICE are the Gestapo. It's by Rubos. This is a Rubos. So if you want to check it out, you can watch it. There's a link there, but we're going to watch it now.
I promised myself I wouldn't make this kind of video anymore, but honestly, some things are just too big to ignore. Now, I realise that I'm going to get a lot of comments from people who think that I'm a woke leftist. But
I do think you're a woke leftist, by the way.
German history is one of the things that I talk about on this channel, and when parallels are already being drawn between major events today and what was happening in Germany about 95 years ago, it would be remiss of me not to say anything.
By the way, the number one expert on Israeli, the number one Israeli expert on fascism has this fantastic quote. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I think he was a bit of a lived-out Zionist, so I'm not saying to worship everything he ever said. But Sternhall has this ridiculous quote about... hold on. Let me see if I can find what page it is. Sternhall. Okay. Oh. Oh. 1 second, hold on. Huh. Well, I don't have access to the book right now, but Zeev Sternhall has this quote about the death coming to German democracy, not really on the day that, the first amount of protesters were killed, but basically when it was actually that a communist was sentenced to double the length of a sentence that a Nazi would have been. And I mean, already in America, that stuff has been happening for a very long time. Also, sorry, my PC is struggling. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
So as US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, continues to terrorize the general population, many of its critics have been comparing it to the infamous Gestapo, suggesting that it's part of a new fascist regime being set up even as we speak. I don't think that this is the best comparison though. That's not to say that the events unfolding over there are not horrifying, they absolutely are, but I personally would compare ICE not with the Gestapo, but with the SA. The Gestapo is a rather different organisation. So perhaps we should start by asking ourselves the question, what was the Gestapo exactly? Now, if, like me, you're British and grew up in the 1980s watching the sitcom Allo Allo, you might remember Herr Flick of the Gestapo. Or if you're not that old, you
I have never seen Allo Allo.
might be thinking of Stephen Merchant's character in the movie Jojo Rabbit. But of course, these...
Stephen Merchant is very funny, but he does kind of look he kind of looks... The Nazi look looks as if he is, as if that's what he was. He plays a Nazi, or he looks like a Nazi.
Satirical portrayals really don't do justice to the sheer horror of what the Gestapo actually got up to. The word Gestapo is actually a contraction of the phrase Geheime Staatspolizei, which
Geheime Staatspolizei. It's like the Homeland Secret State Police.
means secret state police. It
Geheime, it must be secret. Heimat is Homeland, isn't it?
wasn't secret in the sense that nobody knew it existed, it was secret in the sense that it was responsible for covert surveillance and intelligence gathering. At least that was the intention when it was set up in 1933, although set up is not exactly the right word here. It was formed out of the Prussian Secret Political Police, which had been around since the 1850s. Its job was to monitor political activities and investigate political crime.
One of the things I don't really like about my knowledge of the world and politics, I'd say, is that, like, I've read a lot more about the First World War recently, but because obviously you study these things at school, you kind of gain the perception of, oh, I kind of know what happened and blah, blah, blah. Like, I've been to Germany, you know, I've been multiple times, and I think one of the things that does interest me a lot is trying to learn more about this kind of history, because I don't know exactly how this was founded, like, put frankly.
It had become necessary, in the eyes of the government, after a revolution in 1848 almost succeeded in putting an end to the absolute monarchy and turning Germany into a parliamentary democracy. The political police was supposed to ensure that that didn't happen again. It failed though, and the German monarchy finally came to an end in 1918, after which the political police had a new task. Now it was to protect democracy against extremists from both the left and the right, which, by the way, included the new National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis. Again, it failed, and in 1933 it was reformed into the new Secret State Police to guard, once again, against the evils of democracy. Except now, instead of defending the monarchy, it was defending the Nazis. This new organisation quickly became little more than a branch of the government, and its job was to identify and neutralise any remaining political threats to the regime. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too honest, and the government didn't like Gestapo reports that suggested the general population wasn't completely happy with the regime. So in 1936, the surveillance part of its job was taken over by the Security Service, which passed on to the Gestapo any intelligence it gathered about political dissent. The Gestapo...
It's also kind of crazy. Someone mentioned in the chat, I love how Americans have to go all the way back to the Nazis to comprehend what state violence feels like. Well, if you live in a US-backed dictatorship, the first thing that comes to mind is welcome. What do you mean by the end part of that? But I do agree with you. I do agree with you over the fact that, like, you know, the US is incredibly violent. Like, the CIA trained the Savak in Iran, and then the IRGC's like secret police, or they're like, I can't remember exactly. I think it's called the VVAC, Ministry of Intelligence, often known as VVAC, Wezarati Etalati Jomhuriye Islamiyye Iran.
Was then responsible for not only investigating these reports, but also for administering punishments, which could range from small fines all the way to summary execution, which it was empowered to do without the tedious rigmarole of having to get the courts involved. Not that that would have made much difference, because by then the government had already made sure that all of the judges were Nazis. The Gestapo were brutal and used all kinds of unethical practices to persecute anyone they regarded as an enemy of the state.
It's kind of unbelievable, though, because quite a lot of what the worst things that ICE are currently doing and have been doing for decades are just limited to immigrants. Like, they killed a multitude of different immigrants throughout the years, and it's not really drawing much attention. ICE, in ICE custody. People keep dying in ICE custody, except they're just like, oh, they just sort of died. But it's seemingly they're just getting tortured to death. Like, in ICE custody, and most people just don't really care because they're not white Americans. They're not like a veteran. They're not someone who gets shot in the street.
For example, they would blackmail and torture their victims and even fabricate evidence simply in order to extract confessions from
That actually really sounds a lot like the US government right now. They just sort of cook up anything they can imagine.
them. But what they didn't generally do was to march around the streets in broad daylight, beating, arresting, and even killing anyone for any reason. That, as I said, was the speciality of the SA. The history of the SA is even more complicated and confusing than that of the Gestapo, but basically it goes back to the very beginnings of what would eventually become the Nazi Party. This was in the uncertain and sometimes violent period between the two world wars, when it was quite normal in Germany for political parties to employ their own security personnel. The Nazis were no exception, and their security guys formed what came to be the Storm Division, the SA. These were not people who were selected for their intelligence. It was a paramilitary organization that specialized in brute force.
He should just compare the CIA to the Gestapo. And then these guys actually, I can see what he's talking about. It is much more of an apt comparison to it is much more of an apt comparison, I guess, in what he's saying, of basically like these are just thugs on the street, and they're like mostly white nationalists who kind of roam around shooting people for fun. Like, and the only problem is they keep killing white people, which is causing a lot of upset because their previous killings have drawn nowhere near the ire as this.
Nazis grew in power and influence, the SA was doing a pretty good job of instigating fights and riots in the streets. Its main targets were communists, social democrats, Jews, and even some Christian groups. In short, they were thugs who, over time, became more and more organized and eventually developed a military-style hierarchy. In 1933, as the Nazi Party was tightening its grip on power, the SA was in effect used as a kind of auxiliary police. Regular police officers were made to patrol together with SA men who were authorized to act on behalf of the state.
It's just crazy that, like, obviously the American police suck, like, objectively, but just looking at how this guy's dressed here is insane. Like, that's just full-on military tactical gear.
Once the infamous Reichstag decree was enacted, the SA was suddenly free to do almost anything it wanted, and set about terrorizing, arresting, imprisoning, and torturing anyone they didn't like. However, while the SA helped to put the Nazis in power, it was now in a position to remove the Nazis from power and had therefore become a threat. So in 1934, the party neutralized the SA by assassinating its senior members and taking over its leadership. So, to sum up, the Gestapo was mostly concerned...
Trump's going to assassinate Greg Bovino. He's going to assassinate him because he likes the coat.
...with investigating and punishing political...
So ICE is kind of like the brown shirts. I mean, I guess they're just they have way more access to, like, unlimited money and American weaponry, and they just go to shooting ranges the whole time and just shoot people. And then just go and shoot people.
...political dissent, while the SA was more concerned with terror through brute force. How does this correspond to present-day America? There are, of course, no perfect matches because history doesn't really repeat itself. As the saying goes, it rhymes. So we're not looking for exact parallels, but rough approximations. My impression of ICE's activities at the moment is that they're closer to what the SA might have done. According to reports...
You know what? The phrase I was just trying to remember. It's in the Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte. The Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, right? And Marx says that world historical facts and personages appear twice. The first time as tragedy, the second as farce. This is the farce, you know, some weirdo white nationalist. Some weirdo white nationalists in America with all these people like fucking J.D. Vance around. It's so farcical. J.D. Vance, who's constantly like tweeting like memes and, oh God, how farcical.
Its recent massive intake of new recruits has happened with very little oversight and barely any training at all, as evident in the astoundingly unprofessional conduct we've seen of late. So I think that ICE is being or has been reformed into the Trump administration's SA, bullies who are authorized by the state to bully people. The role of Gestapo, I think, is more likely going to be played by something like the FBI, perhaps with the help of an intelligence agency like the CIA, just as the Gestapo was helped by the security service. And I have to be honest, given the apparent lack of oversight, I have a nasty suspicion that a lot of these new ICE agents were involved in the January 6th insurrection.
It's not just that, they are straight up white nationalists, and I think this video's good, but I do genuinely think it's, like, the Department of Labor is the craziest one. We've shown this over and over again. Like, what are they posting? Like, this last week was certainly an interesting one. A church picnic, Arthur Sarnoff, when they also posted just all the Manifest Destiny imagery. This, I don't like this one because they're talking about victory over the British military. Not good. Not good. Americanism will prevail. Patriotism, not globalism. Enjoy celebrating with family and friends. Like, every image is just white people. Where's the Manifest Destiny one? Who posted that? The just straight up Manifest Destiny image. Because I think also Americans probably should make the realization that their history there is not that distant from the Nazis in terms of what they did to the indigenous population. Hitler, as I've mentioned over and over again, loved what they did to the indigenous population. This account is just fucking crazy, though. Just a really, really bizarre... And the turn seems to have happened not even that long ago. Like, its posts weren't purely... Look at this one! It's our boy Charlie. Never forget 9/11. And then Charlie. But yeah, certainly quite something. Just this account has been getting worse and worse. It's also Homeland Security. They've posted literal white nationalist songs, which I know people have noted. Nationalist, like tons of people have noted that.
And have little or no formal training. In short, they are, not to put too fine a point on it, thugs. And I think this is what we have to bear in mind. It's not just one organisation that we have to worry about. The Nazi regime was supported by a whole network of different organisations, each one protecting all of the others.
One thing I will say as well that is very much worth noting is Capital collaborated with the Nazis. In Trump's first term, you saw Capital kind of turn their backs on him when he did something too extreme, which was the January 6th stuff. You know, it was at the end of his first term. You saw all of the major media outlets and all of these things call it out. But then this time, no one's calling him out, really. The Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden is insane to think about. It's really, really quite something. I think the video... Are ICE the Gestapo? Yeah, we've posted the link a couple of times. I apologize. I've just actually closed it. The other one I wanted to watch was this from CBC, the national news.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, the agency that's been at the heart of Donald Trump's deportation plan, well, they've been on a hiring spree. Like, check out this TV ad they've been running.
Join the mission to protect America with bonuses up to $50,000 and generous benefits. Apply now.
But online, the recruitment campaign uses different language that's familiar to far-right extremists, raising the question, Who exactly is
I think Parenti is chatting with Charlie Kirk in heaven. I think you're 100% correct about that, that Charlie Kirk is chatting with him. Yeah. They're probably having one of the greatest debates of all time, because if the sort of mainstream media outlets and mainstream left-wing outlets to be believed, Charlie was doing the most brave thing, the best thing in the world, debating and engaging his opponents, and was just a great guy. And I'm sure Parenti would have loved a chance to talk to him.
ICE trying to recruit? Last summer, the agency was given $8 billion to turbocharge recruitment. The hiring campaign included social media outreach.
That looks like Chelsea player Joao Pedro. I assume it's not Joao Pedro. It doesn't actually. I apologise. That doesn't look like Joao Pedro, and I'm assuming that that's not him from his eyes.
Which caught the attention of experts who study the far right.
I would describe it as oddly very familiar as someone who has been looking at the white nationalist and neo-Nazi movement for nearly a decade now. And it's disturbing to see that coming from a government agency.
In August, ICE posted this image on Instagram and X.
Here's the thing, though. In the UK, like, you've had political parties doing this for ages. Like, what, the UKIP party are like Nazi saluting, and then they get protection to just wander around the street.
Note the tagline, "Which way, American man?" It's a meme often used by right-wing influencers, and which refers to this book, a 700-page anti-Semitic rant popular with neo-Nazis.
Is that actually where that comes from? The, like, which way, Western man? Which way, Western man? His name was literally William Gay Simpson, and he was writing anti-Semitic rants and being a neo-Nazi. Like, bro, your name is William Gay, and then you're named after fucking Homer Simpson. Behave, lad.
Another post, this one from October, has the tagline, "America for Americans," a xenophobic slogan used repeatedly by the Ku Klux Klan.
But I think also, by the way, one of the things that is crazy is, Wilson defense of the KKK. Today, people act like, oh my god, this is such a shocker. Woodrow Wilson defended the KKK. Okay. That's what's written by Adam Tuesday. He said, like, he had respect for its founding. I mean, I'm not sure I can read all of this because it has some of his slurs in it. Quotes from Wilson's History of American People used for the film. Adventurers swarmed out of the north as much as the enemies of one race as the other, to cozen, beguile, and use the... I'm not going to repeat that. The Spanish word for black, let's say. In the villages, the Spanish word for black were the office holders, men... who knew none of the uses of authority except its insolences. The policy of the congressional leaders wrought a veritable overthrow of civilization in the South in their determination to put the white under the heel of the black South. The white man were roused by a mere instinct of self-preservation, until at last there had been sprung into the existence a great Ku Klux Klan, a veritable empire of the South to protect the southern country. Ellipsis in the original. So, this is what Woodrow Wilson had to say. Woodrow Wilson was just a white nationalist. And, like, today it's like, we had civil war and then everyone good in America, everyone hated slavery. Sorry, I've not seen this. Other sources note Wilson defended segregation on scientific grounds in private and describe him as a man who loved to tell racist darky jokes about black Americans. Bloody hell.
Experts don't think these references are a coincidence, because it keeps happening. Hannah Gase has spent years researching right-wing extremism online. She walked us through the coded language she's been seeing in the ICE recruitment posts, like this one, that uses imagery from the video game Halo.
So anti-immigrant groups have described immigrants.
That is actually crazy. I mean, I haven't played Halo since I was a kid, but what even are the Flood? I just sort of remember them being like the Flood Halo. I remember them sort of being like an alien parasite where you got some big ones and then those little ones that swarmed around in Halo 3. What actually are they, though? There are parasitic... Oh, Christ almighty. The Flood is a fictional, parasitic alien life form and one of the primary antagonists in the Halo multimedia franchise, first introduced in the 2001 Halo Combat Evolved. I remember them in Halo 3. I thought they were in ODST, but I don't even remember what was going on in ODST. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because now previously they used to use, more overt things. Most people aren't going to understand this. Most people aren't going to know what the Flood are and that they're even parasites, But it is just coded Nazi rhetoric.
France coming into this country, particularly non-white immigrants, routinely as a flood.
Or this one, posted just after the killing.
That's interesting because it doesn't even seem like she appreciates fully the significance. Like, she's like, oh, like aliens coming in. I suppose it's the specific reference to the Flood from Halo. What do the Flood even want to do? Like, what's their plan? Do they want to just take over the world? Now I'm on the Halo fandom. The Flood, the parasite, they are known to the Covenant and the shaping sickness of the Americans. Shaping sickness by the ancients, conglomerate of highly virulent parasites that can reproduce and grow by consuming sentient life forms of sufficient biomass capability. The Flood was responsible for consuming most of the sentient life in the galaxy, notably the Forerunners during the 300-year-long Forerunner Flood War. What a terrible, terrible time. Steal our jobs, brother. Yeah, the Flood are stealing our jobs. The Flood presents the most variable faction in their trilogy, as it can infect, mutate humans and Covenant species such as Sangheili. Which one of the little, goon guys with the triangle heads? I can't remember what they were called, but I liked shooting them. Grunts? They were called Grunts, weren't they? They are widely considered to be the greatest threat to existence. I played this when I was a kid. I'm sure if I was older, I'd perhaps have a better recollection or a grasp of what they actually were. But someone said they're like the Tyranids. Isn't the word... isn't the objective of, the Tyranids literally just to consume anything that they can get their hands on? So, I mean, this is, really specific coded rhetoric. And, saying, oh, you're looking too deeply into this. I don't think you are, because the kind of people who are, posting about this online are nerds. They are fucking nerds. They are nerds who understand what they are saying. It is grotesque. It is repugnant.
Of Renee Good in Minneapolis.
What are we looking at?
So this phrase, "we'll have our home again," right here. That is a lyric from a song released in 2020 by a white nationalist group called the Pine Tree Riots, affiliated with a white nationalist organization in the United States called the Manor Bund. Some organizations like the Proud Boys kind of took up the song as their own. They started singing it at rallies.
And the Proud Boys, a far-right group that's listed as a terrorist entity in Canada, have taken notice. On the messaging app,
you can just you can just be one of these, white supremacists. I mean, actually, you know what? Acting as if this is really that outrageous. I am sure that there were many Proud Boys who were already police officers. It's so overt now. I'm sure that there were many Proud Boys who are in the military. I mean, Pete Hegseth is Pete Hegseth may not formally belong to one of these organizations, but Pete Hegseth is objectively an extremist white nationalist. Graham Plattner was in the military with a Nazi tattoo, and he was allowed to keep going into it, and he was like, oh, no one ever complained about my Nazi tattoo before. And it's like, bro, what? Silent dog whistle. Okay, yeah.
Telegram, one chapter reposted that ad next to a picture of a literal dog.
Wait, are they from... They're from Cape Fear. Cape Fear Proud Boys. Cape Fear's not a real place, is it? It's just in The Simpsons. What?
Whistle, adding the line, message received. It's one of several posts from affiliated accounts
defend the homeland,
encouraging members to apply.
What do you think about Greg Stoker? You know what? I've seen Greg Stoker in person. I didn't go and introduce myself to him, but there's a Middle East Eye interview with him. I don't really know enough about Greg Stoker's history and how Greg Stoker talks about his military service. I don't really feel so loving about veterans of any kind, or veterans of the US military and stuff, because obviously there are some military veterans who seize power who are in other contexts who are somewhat like, who try and do good things for their country, and perhaps Greg Stoker will, but it just depends. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really feel comfortable, and I have a lack of trust of any of these people when, you know, the Graham Plattner situation just unfolded.
ICE says it received more than 200...
No, but I'm not making fun. Is Cape Fear a real place? Like, where is it? I don't know. I don't live in America. Cape Fear, US. The only place I know it from is from The Simpsons. And obviously there's a film about it. But it's spelt differently in The Simpsons, right?
20,000 applications in its recruitment drive last year. And some are wondering how many of those applicants were responding to the controversial social media posts.
It's unprecedented for a government account that would normally focus on, you know, pretty bland messaging and policy.
Also, Middle East Eye's coverage on Rojava has been extremely pro-HTS. Bro, they have an Istanbul desk. Why do you think that might be? Like, every news outlet has a slant. And, like, whilst a lot of them may be good on certain things, anything that is, like, when people are talking about, like, oh, you shouldn't read Al Jazeera around Palestine, it's like, no, that's objectively untrue. It's going to be better than most mainstream Western outlets, and it's going to be better it's going to be better than most mainstream outlets in, like, English, and there are probably Arabic outlets that are better, and I believe in Arabic, Al Jazeera is, like, even better, some people say. But where Al Jazeera becomes something difficult is around reporting on Qatar. Like, objectively, like, Al Jazeera exists in a country that has greater press freedom than in Israel. In Israel, you don't really have proper press freedom, right? Like, that's just objectively true. You can look this up. The Reporters Sans Frontières reporting on Israel is actually like, no, they have worse press freedoms than Qatar. However, like, when it comes to anything that's going to be related to Syria, it's going to be very pro-HTS or pro-Al-Shara. And, like, it remains to be seen what's going to happen under that. Like, I don't think Shara will ever transition towards democracy. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll be yet another military dictator of Syria who is unable to satisfy the needs and demands of his population.
Descriptions to be regurgitating white supremacist propaganda.
Heidi Barrick is the co-founder of the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism.
The most dangerous part about it is that this probably is attracting white supremacists and other racial extremists to perhaps join the ranks of ICE. And that is a very...
Some of those who burn crosses some of those who... What is it? Some of those who work forces are the ones who burn crosses. Like, I don't think that there's no truth to what he's saying there. That, like, racist extremists work in these forces. It's just a photo was found out years ago. They discharged soldiers way later. Australian military.
Toxic, very dangerous situation if it's happening.
ICE has been rushing its new recruits into service, reportedly cutting training time in half. But Barrick says the danger of recruiting with extremist language goes beyond who might get hired.
It's the normalization that I find the most frightening. I thought we had all...
This is where, to me, the, like, very libbed out perspective, it really lies. That, like, ultimately, the Democrats, like, what they're working on, and people are complaining about Hassan for saying Kamala would have done the same thing. Look, once again, I don't think Kamala does exactly the same thing. But she doesn't change the status quo, and she doesn't fix the problems of average, ordinary Americans in literally the same way that things are happening in the UK. If you don't fix the problem, it is very clear that the can is being kicked down the road, and more extreme people with more and more extreme plans, with more significant, more powerful techniques of repression and surveillance of mass populations that are already tried and tested by authoritarian dictatorships are going to come. And Keir Starmer is the perfect example of that. Keir Starmer is framed as a leftist who is destroying the UK with, like, woke, gay, pro-immigrant politics. And it couldn't be further from the truth. But it doesn't matter because he's not actually improving anyone's lives. And because he odiously clings to Israel, you end up in this situation where they are still just as racist, where they continually enable the same kind of politics. like, sanctuary cities begun under Obama. Like, there's a great episode of The Dig. I can't actually remember what it's called, but you'd have to search back for it. Immigration. They talk about, like, kind of the failure of Deportation Nation. I haven't listened to it in a while, but I probably will. Deportation Nation with Chris Freeman. Here you go. Here's a link to it. I think she would have been quite passive and easy to control. Like, I don't see where this notion that, like, this major difference was going to come.
All, not just in the United States, but generally come to the position.
If you want, like, a full thing from someone who's, like, a very good understander of immigration, because I believe they actually work in, like, and they work with immigrant communities who are subject to violent raids, there's a very fair account of what Obama and the Dems did under it, and how the Democrats basically were like, okay, no, let's not be more radical in order to win votes. Let's appease Republicans and try and appeal to their base, which is just never going to work, you know. A problem for right-wing parties showing up in the UK right now. I don't think it'll show up as much in America because your two-party system is stronger. I mean, ours looked very strong for a long time. However, the problem in the UK right now is that the Conservatives can get pretty extreme, but their base is being sapped away by people who are more extreme. Like, how anyone thinks that Keir Starmer swinging to the right, or any Labour, Democrat, or anything swinging to the right is going to appeal to a base of people who continually want more extreme politics is beyond me.
That white supremacy is a dangerous ideology, that neo-Nazism or the Nazi regime are dangerous and shouldn't be part of mainstream society, polite society, period. But apparently not. The Trump administration doesn't seem to think that. So when the most powerful government maybe in the world is mainstreaming white supremacy, we should all be very, very concerned.
Social media outreach is only one part of the ICE recruitment strategy. The agency is spending millions, according to the Washington Post, on geotagging technology to target ads at specific demographic groups, like people who attend UFC fights or gun shows. ICE also rolled out TV ads aimed at police officers in sanctuary cities, where illegal immigrants can still receive public services.
In sanctuary cities, you're ordered to stand down while dangerous illegals walk free. Join ICE and help us catch the worst of the worst.
David, who do you think ICE is trying to attract with its recruitment strategy? David LePan is a former spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, which is responsible for ICE.
It sends a very clear message about who they're trying to attract. And I said, it's people that want to get involved in getting rid of people that have been determined to, or been called enemies, foreigners that are somehow ruining our country.
The Department of Homeland Security did not respond to our request for comment about the extremist content of its social media posts. When questioned by other media, the department has denied making references to white supremacist material. Indeed, its posts have been recirculated by other branches of the Trump administration. The White House says it's just posting, quote, banger memes. LePan, though, is not laughing.
I think it's important, for people to recognize that what's happening now is unusual, is unprecedented. It's not a matter of political party, right? Again, I worked in administrations of both types, under Congresses of various types of, whichever party was had the majority. This is unprecedented. It's not normal. It's not what we have seen in the past.
Like, it's an acceleration, but I want to show you something as well. Home Office UK TikTok. Hold on, I was just looking for this. Let me just find the actual Home Office.
The Home Office has said that a crackdown on migrants working...
Where is this? I think that this is like an official account, or it claims to be. It purports to be. Official UK Home Office account. Is this Secure Borders UK? Is this it? Hold on. Yeah! Secure Borders UK. First 20, the head of the advocacy, it's just against this and there's no political balance. Wait, is this an official account? I'm just trying to... let me just have a look. The Home Office has said the account aimed at tackling... This is an official UK account. Incentives drawing them to the UK are being removed. Asylum decision making tripled. The initial decision backlog has reduced by a quarter, and almost 50,000 people with no right to be here have been removed. Let's have a look through this account. What the fuck? Let's have a look what its most popular video is. Like this is the, like, once again, by the way, here's the issue. You can literally see someone, I don't know if it'll show it, hold on, let me see if I can show it. This guy has a Nazi Thunderbolt. It will be like a Nazi-ish account. But like, just look at this. This is the UK government. Return flights are removing illegal migrants from the UK at near record levels. Much more than this actually mattering as like something, like, of course this matters, but much more of being like a really significant escalation. It's just turning it all into theatre. It's turning it all into theatre to terrify people who are here legally as well, and make them feel uncomfortable and sate the bloodlust of creeps on the internet. And this is being done by a Labour government. Using like all the popular TikTok sounds as well. Foreign criminals pose a safety threat to it's a safety threat of British citizens and cost the taxpayer millions to house in prisons. More than 5,000 dangerous foreign criminals have been deported since July 2024, restoring order and control to our borders. Just like these epic videos to sate people. It's just theatre of cruelty. Yeah, you're right about that. The right to stay in Britain must be earned. Those who arrive illegally break our laws or rely on benefits for over a year. By the way, as well, the funny thing is you see right now loads of right-wing Iranians absolutely loving this kind of stuff. Mark my words, you will be targeted by them. You will be targeted by these by these groups who are going to try and remove you from the country, because the majority of people here illegally are coming from places like Iran, escaping repressive authoritarian regimes, could face some of the longest wait or settlement in Europe, up to 30 years. It's just also a way to, like, it's just a way to get some kind of win. But who is this for? Like, this, like, if we just look through the comments, don't believe a word of it from Tinkerbell. This was filmed 2 years ago. If true, why not on news? I like my ice crushed. Get a load of this fucking idiot. Hell yeah, the game's so back. And then a picture of Martinelli saying absolute cinema. Never show you on the news. Like, the UK's been doing this kind of stuff, you know, for ages. And now they've turned it into political theatre for the exact same reason. To appease rightoids on the internet. And it doesn't even work.
ICE is slated to get $30 billion by the end of the decade to fund its deportation campaign.
And Democrats will ensure that $1 billion of that is spent on cameras. And Waymo scored. Crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't disagree with any of this kind of stuff. Like, I think that this is a horrifying, that this is a major escalation. However, simultaneously, I'm just showing you, like, the UK government is engaging in it. They're laying the groundwork for Farage to take on a full-on Trump-style moment. But yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting to me, though, is this is going really badly for the US government. They are really, really fucking this all up. Really, really fucking this all up. I mean, I'll just show this because it's just a standoff between protesters. Sorry, that was probably quite loud. It's also really odd that they roll around. Does anyone know why they do this? Why they roll around in just, like, civilian cars in, like, highly militarized gear with highly militarized weaponry? How pornographic the level of control is, in the sense that they need more extreme shit to watch. Yeah, exactly. And I think also someone being executed in the street, in part will shock and repulse many of us, but for quite a lot of people, they will see it and they'll be like, holy shit, you know, you can just execute libtards now. See, apparently someone bit off an ICE agent's finger. You're saying the gear is cheap, but the cars are not. I mean, the gear may be cheap, but they're spending billions and billions on, like, ammunition, guns, and all of this stuff. Imagine being bad at fascism. Well, I think that ultimately, like, Trump does not have the full power and authority to carry out, like, a mass murder, full-on crackdown campaign. And right now, I think they're hoping that the protesters escalate, that the protesters, like, do 2020 style stuff where they can get libs on their side of being like, I think killing people is bad, but you should never, ever, ever burn down a Target. They want that shit to happen, and it just hasn't yet. Like, so far, this is actually a really successful, organized campaign. And I heard someone say that Minnesota is like a state that kind of just works, that its welfare programs are good and like all of this stuff. But in the context of this, like, it looks like there have been general strikes, which is obviously bad for the US government. Like, that's not a good thing. It's not just been like, you know, mass protests that are difficult to control, but can't gain the popularity of the vast majority of libs. Like, libs, like, have to support this, you know. They have to support it as much as they don't want to, as much as they want to protest about leftist crazy people, you know. Over 1,000 people have disappeared in ICE custodies. That's exactly the point as well. A lot of these people having like crying fits and all of this stuff don't really care about like the previous brutalization. It's just now because it's like basically a militia that's only really accountable to Trump that there's a problem. And yeah, these murder videos are horrible. They're horrible and they're grotesque. And also, by the way, I think it's quite notable that a lot of right-wingers liked it when a woman got killed, but they didn't like it when they didn't like it when a white man was killed. And I don't think that that's an exaggeration or just being like, oh, look, misogyny. I think that's a serious thing to say. Like, a lot of people were quite happy when Renee Good was killed and they were like, she was screaming, she was being loud and annoying. And yet when it's, sorry, as I'm saying this, but when it's a white man, it doesn't matter. Sorry, someone has tweeted this. Attention ICE Gov. This violent leftist extremist lesbian terrorist is armed and dangerous. A cishet white man. Exactly, and also a veteran.
And you motherfuckers get tried for your crimes. You guys suck so bad. You're gonna be in so much.
Sorry, just listening to that. You guys suck so bad.
Fucking prison. Fucking bitch. Suck my dick, you fucking pussy. Do the job. Put your hand in your fucking.
And also, by the way, in certain contexts, of course, like armed militant intervention works against authoritarian governments and despicable violent regimes, and it shouldn't be discredited like in the context of, you know, Cuba and South Africa and how often it's sanitized like, oh, you know, Cuba, oh, like there was just peaceful protests. Like, no, the concessions that were forced out of the South Africans by the Cubans mattered. They were significant. And, you know, killings of South African soldiers certainly all of a sudden started to make South Africans feel like, oh my God, there's consequences for us. Our brave boys are dying. But what I will say is, like, the first Intifada was so effective and impossible to control because it was just incredibly popular, because it was just like economic resistance. It is utterly ridiculous. Guess it's barbarism then, like GTA. Yeah, I mean, most of these people are just driving. It is kind of like GTA as well, because they're just driving around in civilian cars with extreme weapons, with like extremely high powerful weapons to just go and shoot random civilians. And yeah, I know, I cannot believe that anyone would be triggered by ICE being compared to the Israelis. Like, the Israelis are so much worse than ICE, first of all, and like anyone who's like, I'm mad at the ICE for killing this person. Israelis just kill like random guys in the street who don't have weapons, who they don't even have the pretext very often of being like making up a story around, well, he had a gun. Obviously, there's no justification for it, but they don't have that pretext. They'll just murder a random kid like wandering down the street and be like, he was a terrorist. And then our politicians will go, we're upset about the human rights abuses over there, and just allow it to run on and on and on and on. And very often those killings are carried out by some little pervert from the UK, from Western society, who goes over to Israel to do their IOF service and get to hunt and brutalize Palestinians, you know? But that's okay because they're Palestinians, right? In the same way that, like, right now, I don't think it should be diminished that huge amounts of people are being found dead in ICE custody, and also in the context of in ICE custody and also, like, do you remember a few months ago they just murdered another person? They murdered, what was his name? One moment, please. I just wanted to talk about this. What was it? What was it called? Mariama Martinez. Mariama Martinez was the other lady who was shot, but it was like called, it's got some stupid name. What was it called? It was the shooting of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, a father of two who was like undocumented, but he was just shot by two ICE agents who made up absolute bullshit, and it didn't really inflame the country as much.
Can you get your fucking guy? Is this even your fucking asshole? Get away. Hey. You wouldn't give me his name or that. Who the fuck?
Is that a female ICE agent? Can you be a female ICE agent? Sorry, look at the AI overview when I search female ICE agent. As of January 2016, a notable female leaders in US immigration and customs include trailblazers like Catherine W. Sands, Rachel Cannon, Carol Libby, and Robin Schmidt. Make it woke, you know? And by the way, I'm not surprised that there are like female ICE agents that women do bad things as well, by the way, at all. There are many, many female Israeli soldiers who do just as brutal things as men, who engage in horrific brutality against Palestinians. What I'm more surprised by is I feel like I don't often see these female ICE agents around and about.
I'm going to the sidewalk right now. I'm going there right now.
So far, I haven't.
It is utterly ridiculous.
So far, I haven't seen ICE dogs. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Israel. Israel's like a magical land, and one of the things that actually was over there were even Hebrew-speaking dogs, allegedly.
No, you're too close. You're too close. I don't care. I keep saying...
Yeah, I did see about that, the Israeli MPA player crying about being targeted for being an Israeli soldier. By the way, his service is insane that he got to serve as like, what is it? He didn't have to serve because he was like an ambassador for the Israeli military in basketball. And thanks, Thomas, for the donation, by the way.
Shit, go ahead. Keep saying shit, yeah. Listen to your boss, man. Maybe you should take a break.
It's all just theatre as well, because surely this is just such a waste of money for achieving the actual alleged ostensible aims of Department of Homeland Security of deporting everyone in the world in the US. And they're just stood around getting honked at the whole time and having to police protests. Seems like such a waste of time and money for them, and that this is all just theatre to scare people.
He said we could can stand right here.
You can take pictures, be on the sidewalk.
Then why
Just stay
can't
away
I
from the
say that?
vehicle. Stay away from the vehicle.
Like, come on. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're not welcome here. Fucking fascist murderers. Piece of shit. Burn in hell.
I'm sure also that, by the way, if you're talking about like protests and the escalation of violence by bringing a gun to them, I'm sure that also having these kind of like militarized people on the street and making it look like civilians are just monstrous enemies of like, well, literal enemies of the military, like domestic terrorists. I think I think like part of it is they're hoping that people start acting like, you know, an insurgent force and start actually killing ICE agents, but it just hasn't happened yet. Like, really, has an ICE agent even died? I have no idea if an ICE agent has died yet. Who knows? Has died in this service. I saw one lost his finger, which I'm really, really sorry about. I'm really, really sorry about him losing his finger. What was I going to say? What was I going to search? Oh, yeah, protests, Minneapolis.
This has got to stop. It's
okay. It looks like they are throwing snowballs as the.
So this is according to pamphlets. Anti-ICE protests erupt in 70-plus U.S. cities. I'm assuming this is in Minneapolis, right?
It is utterly ridiculous.
Money laundering to private prisons. Oh my gosh, sorry. It all came at once. Appreciate all your work, except the Wordle. I hate words.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Thanks for the 5 months, Anna. Money laundering to private prisons, GEO, Core Civic. Yeah, I guess this is the thing as well. People are like, oh, you're wasting our money.
It is utterly ridiculous.
You're wasting our money. Thanks for becoming a member as well, by the way. Even though you are a member, anyway. I don't know what's going on. 5 months is crazy. But yeah, people are always like, oh, they waste our money. It's like, no, this is going into private companies. And by the way, what do you think the Democrats are doing? Like reading one Jacobin article you can find about how they just want they just want people to have body cameras on, which don't do anything. Like police officers switch them off all the time. The purpose behind these Keystone SS is to build a private, fully armed army. Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're wrong about that. And also because there was this great article by Jan Werner Müller in The Guardian. He had a great article about Trump is turning the US military into a political prop, which pretty good. Let me have a look if this is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, this is it. Jan Werner Müller was talking about this. A lot of it's just like pageantry. They stand around doing fucking nothing. It's just like pageantry. And it's having civilians in the street with full-on military gear matters. Having these soldiers in the street with full-on military-grade gear and normalizing soldiers being on the street is probably a prelude to when it does escalate, when they see some kind of highly militarized response from protesters, and they will start to say, and it will look normal for there to just be the army on the streets of the US killing protesters. Because let's be real here, these like idiotic right-wing thugs are not going to be anywhere near as competent as the military. Well, this is definitely Minnesota. This does look like such a big protest. By the way, the appropriation of Palestine chants, it's clear that there's a lot of crossover there. And I would hope that most people make the realization that, oh, you know, this is that this is just a fraction of what Palestinians go through as a direct result of your government's actions. And I think that there are many, 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 many decent people who understand that and know that.
Just this one feels a little loose, like they just have to hold it a little more taut.
That just looks like way more than 40,000 people. First general strike. Yeah, and I mean, the fact that it's a general strike cannot be ignored, right? Like, you cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore that there are strikes going on, which are obviously way more threatening to the government than just huge protests. Like, shout out to the people of Minneapolis for these huge protests.
Clear that watch the video.
But it's really interesting to see where it goes from here, because, like, I'm sorry, like, I don't think those, because of how, like, insanely stupid and hard to kind of, like, justify when there's literally a video of, like, 8 ICE agents pinning this guy to the ground and everyone is just like, hey, this is complete made-up nonsense that he has, like, been shot for any other reason than just because ICE agents are murderous thugs. But, like, so I doubt an order has come down to, like, go out and murder people, because I think they would have murdered non-white people if they were told to. But it is particularly notable that all of this stuff is happening, right now, just after a huge strike, which is so difficult to control.
Videos.
But let's get into, I guess, like, we've been streaming for nearly 2 hours, and I haven't even really talked about, you know, the killing of Alex Peretti. Am I saying that right? It's Peretti, right? Alex Peretti, sorry, excuse me.
And I've watched them multiple times. Some of them, but not all of them, are in Martha's report there. And it is clear that what people can see and what the federal government is saying do not match. And I think that is at the very heart of a very, very tense situation. The positive news this morning is that it is a little calmer.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Oh, flesh deficiency. What an incredibly kind gift. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted. What a lovely gift, and
It is utterly ridiculous.
And thank you so much, and I hope that everyone who gets it enjoys it. Spam your new emojis in chat, and still no ELAB. But thank you so much, Flesh Deficiency, an incredibly kind gift. I'm sorry if the goal hasn't gone up. The goal will be moved up, so thank you so much for that. That's incredibly kind. Thank you, once again, as I always say, thank you for, like, making this work possible and not making me take sponsorships from, like, random things and having a choice over what I get to take. It's really, really, really kind, and I'm incredibly grateful that I get to do this, and kind donations like yours make that possible. Because obviously, this I'm constantly getting fucking demonetized.
It is utterly ridiculous.
But her emails, Hillary's damned emails. It's escalating from just the Browns, hence what I said, create a repressive force answerable only to the president. Yeah, and also something that can protect Donald Trump. You know, Trump is coup-proofing himself. When the people come out to take him down, when the people come out to take down Donald Trump, it will, when the deep state coups Donald Trump, the ICE fascist thugs will come in and protect him.
Here at the moment, we've seen no presence of ICE agents. Instead, as you can see behind me, there is
and thank you, Thomas. Thank you for your incredibly kind donation. Thank you, everyone.
Vigil for Alex Peretti. This is where he was standing. The point where I am at now is where he was standing in the moments before.
I was at the pub last night when this was happening, because I was like, so I was in London and I saw a couple of friends, and like I watched it on my phone and I was like, holy shit, like. Obviously, the killing of Renee Goodstuff was such utter bullshit that there was any justification or reason to kill her. Anyone with a brain could see that instantaneously. But you know what? There were always going to be people who were like, in my analysis, the poor ICE agent was going to get run over. And it's like, no, he wasn't. But in this context, it's just 8 men throwing a guy on the floor and just fucking killing him because they can.
He was killed. He was holding a phone, as you could see in Martha's report. He was standing like this, holding his telephone and filming an operation that the ICE agents were carrying out. You saw then one of the ICE agents.
Isn't it not also clear that, by the way, if Kyle Rittenhausen was just justified in killing, you know, those protesters in, was it in Kenosha? That this guy would have been justified in taking out 8 ICE Gestapo. Like, sorry, bro.
Agents moved towards him. A scuffle ensued. They moved over to the.
Yeah, they are trying it with Peretti, and we're gonna talk about some of the government responses and from all of the different people who've kind of spoken about it. However, simultaneously, I think one of the things that is worth noting is their kind of propagandists can't, like, it's quite noticeable that Asmongold can't defend it because there is no defense.
The other side of the street, many others then got involved.
Asmongold, the key stenographer for the government.
Moments later, he was dead. One of the camera angles was filmed by somebody who was in this donut shop here. Now, this shop, and indeed the whole area, is now part...
I love how it's just got a fuck ice here. Ice out.
...of frankly, is a very informal investigation by state-level agents who have only just been given access to the scene. We've seen them walking around in their uniforms. It's one example, Jonathan, of the... a situation that for me certainly is unique in America, where we have different law enforcement agencies acting on behalf.
Who's this guy just stood here? Sorry, can you see him? Like, I know it's probably just someone going about their day, but like, this guy just sort of being stood here and like, just looking at the floor very solemnly. Maybe he's someone that knew the guy. It's just very odd, like they're recording and he's just showing no interest in that. He's just sort of stood there looking pensively at the ground.
Of different government entities, federal and local, who are on opposing sides. I mean, that alone gives you a sense of how this could spiral. But let's go over the road and we'll give you a closer scene. It's clear you can go over a closer scene of shot of what the vigil looks like. It was.
The US has needed a regime change, but not because of.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Not because of this. I mean, obviously, no government should be allowed to get up to this crap. But the US has needed a regime change because of its actions around the world over and over and over again. Asmund Goering. I prefer Asmold Gout, I think, or Asmold Ghoul. And all of this stuff. By the way, I will at some point, but I think probably the hyperfixation or the focus today needs to be on this. But I really want to talk about the Tectone stuff because that guy is such a pathetic worm. And he, like, when I researched, like, when I used to make a couple of essay videos, there's one on my channel about Ethan Klein's Miserable World of Misogyny, and in it I talk about the Tectone allegations, and I watched some guy's video who had like a really, really detailed look into what happened with Tectone and the allegations. They are deplorable, and the fact that he got away, the fact that he was platformed by like people like Ethan and stuff was so despicable. But yeah, Asmund Goering, thanks for the 2200, Thomas. And I'm not gonna. You can look it up. It's to do with his ex-girlfriend and like allegedly forcing her to engage with sexual acts with him. And yeah, he's just so vile. And apparently in court he allegedly said that I'm not 100% sure, so this is all alleged, and I am a comedian, streamer. I am not someone who does, I don't know everything, but it was alleged that Tectone apparently said he pivoted to hating on Hassan so much because of like, you know, having allegations against him and the realization that you could build up like a vile community to coalesce around you. And also, by the way, Tectone's apology video is so funny for when he's like, he got found out about his dad being like a sex criminal, which he knew anyway, but he like starts crying and then he stops crying when he can start shitting on Hassan.
It was pretty busy late into the night. We were here at 1 a.m. There were quite a few people here now. The numbers steadily growing. People here to mark their respects to the second person who has been shot by federal agents here in Minneapolis in just a couple of weeks.
Mark, any expectation that the governor, the mayor, or indeed the president will comment further today?
Well, President Trump spent last night at the White House, where he had a private screening.
I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard someone saying recently that apparently there might be a firing, and it might be of Stephen Miller, that they might fire Stephen Miller and like kind of blame him for everything that's gone wrong. So remains to be seen. Remains to be seen.
Of his wife's film, the First Lady's film, Melania, which is due out shortly. And there were some tech executives invited to that. So that was his focus last night. He has tweeted or social media as a social media post where he echoed the language and the vibe of the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, who spoke yesterday as well. We are expecting to hear from ICE today. Just move forward a bit. We are expecting to hear from ICE today. And we'll see what they say. Yesterday, all that they did, the ICE official, all he did was to repeat the statement.
This guy does not look like he's dressed very appropriately for minus 15 degrees. Source on this, what? I don't remember. I think it was, hold on. I think it was 1s and 2s. I'll check right now. It was revealed to me in a dream. I heard someone saying that allegedly sources are suggesting, so I wouldn't take it as 100%, and I really, 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 really wish I could tell you exactly where I'd heard it. Stephen Miller firing. Okay, I don't remember where I heard this. I really, really wish I could tell you. Fuck. Okay, I can't tell you where I heard that, so maybe take a bit of that with a grain of salt, because I don't remember.
That Kristi Noem and the Department of Homeland Security gave, but they are sticking with their line that Alex Pretty was armed and that.
Mark Owen Jones had a great tweet about this, like a really funny tweet. Any moment now, I expect the White House to release an AI-generated video of the killing, but show the victim holding a flamethrower. I mean, they've already started posting AI-doctored videos. What's actually going to stop them? Point worth making. Point worth making that these people are using AI to... these people are using AI to already make fake videos and photographs. I mean, I'm sure you all saw this one, where the DHS posted this video of a lady being arrested, and then the White House posted it with her, like, pretending that she'd been crying as she was arrested.
He was intent on causing mass casualties. Now, the video evidence does not back that up one bit. Stephen Miller is the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House in charge of the Homeland Security policy brief at the White House. He has repeatedly called Alex Pretty a domestic terrorist. I think we can take from that there is no sense from the federal government that they are willing to lower tensions here.
I mean, I don't want to show the video on here, in part because I'm sure most of you have seen it, but also because, like the Renee Good one, I don't think my job as, like, a content creator online is to provide you with analysis of, like, what happened, because I think it's pretty fucking obvious just by looking at the video for, like, 10 seconds and using your own eyes that this is just some unaccountable pervert, white nationalist, most likely, just murdering someone, just murdering someone in the street. And I think that anyone who isn't drawing that, who isn't taking that, or isn't, like, reaching that conclusion is someone who is just ideologically poisoned and inclined to believe the perverse lies of the Trump administration and any government that says what they want to hear. They also pistol whipped him. Mark Owen Jones is the only good journalist with the words Owen Jones. Yeah, not to be confused. Reminds me of a certain country. 100%, like, it's like, yeah, and I mean, it is grotesque. And I've seen some people talk about, like, you know what? I once read about how, like, videos of black men being killed in many ways are kind of like how people used to go and watch lynchings and stuff. But I assume that the people making that kind of argument wouldn't talk about the same with, like, this. But even then, I don't know. These videos are meant to inspire fear in you as well, by the way, and make you terrified to do anything. Because one day, you know, these videos will probably be manipulated by the US government. They probably will.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Post speaking out against it. Well, I mean, Brat, I have seen the NRA, the people mentioning the NRA. I haven't actually read the NRA's post, but thank you for reminding me. I'll check that out. Thank you for the $5. And once again, thanks for making the Chris K YouTube channel possible. NRA. This sentiment from the first assistant U.S. attorney for the Central District of California is dangerous and wrong. Responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. For months, radical progressive politicians like Tim Walz have incited violence against law enforcement officers, blah, 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 blah. And any officer... Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, maybe they released a little bit of her story against it. But yeah, Dorgu is a beautiful man. Wow, Dorgu scored. Fair play. I mean, I thought Man United would win. I was pretty upset though. I had a free bet that didn't land on Chelsea that was like really high return, and I lost it by 1 corner, which is insane. But who cares? It's a free bet. Don't gamble. I would not encourage gambling, and you will never see me doing a gambling ad. I'll tell you that much now. I haven't taken some sponsorships that were much less questionable, but I will never, ever, ever take any gambling advert of any kind, except for a FIFA pack opening if they give me Team of the Year, Ousmane Dembele. This is really the same violence that's been happening in marginalized communities for years. So that police are supporting it is no surprise. Yeah, I mean it's no surprise at all that this is being supported by so many people. That like law enforcement agencies have no real problem with any of this shit going on. You know. Give up before they win big. Exactly. I'm shaking my head in disgust. Oi, you got a license for that trifecta. Okay, this is what Trump had to say. This is the gunman's gun, loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is this all about? Where are the local police? Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and governor called them off. Why would local police need to protect guys roaming around with, like... Don't they have the highest budget out of, like, any federal law enforcement agency? They have, like, unlimited guns, unlimited crowd control weaponry, and a license to kill people. Why do you need the local police to protect them? There were 8 guys tackling this guy on the floor. Trump is probably seething having to write this, because selling this as, like, having any truth to it is insane. It's insane. He had a license to carry, like the fuck. Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, I don't like guns in the street, but you know, I don't like guns. I don't love that as an aspect of American culture, and how, like, very often America could reduce the amount of, like, children killed in school shooting by way, way, way bigger gun control, and the conversation never goes to that. And in fact, it's pretty much a bipartisan thing to just say, yeah, you have a right to carry guns. But in America, the fact that these people who are gun nuts anyway and refuse to do anything to challenge it are basically just now like, actually, he had a gun and it's okay for the ICE Gestapo to shoot him. ICE is armed with rifles that shoot 700 rounds a minute. I also can't, like... I can't help but imagine a situation where... Seemingly, if you look at some of the video analysis put out by some people, what has actually happened is one of them has got this gun and has fired it by accident, and then all of them have just started shooting. I can imagine a situation where these untrained, trigger-happy white nationalists just start killing a crowd because they accidentally shoot one of the other ones. Like, one of the idiots shoots one of the other idiots, and then they just start massacring huge amounts of people. Like, I don't think it's implausible. Innocent man who only tried to help a woman and did neither pull his gun nor fire it a single shot. 100%, 100%. The only point of them having guns is to stop tyranny. Yeah, but I think unfortunately that kind of argument to do with, like, oh, it prevents tyranny and stuff, like, it's tyranny on school children who just have to put up with, like, doing drills to protect themselves, to learn what happens when someone walks into your space with a gun and all of these things. And, like, these guns flow over to other countries. They flow to Canada, they flow to Mexico, and they lead to mass killings in those countries. They probably end up in the hands of violent cartel members, but the actual problem's Maduro, because he's the Cartel de las Solas head. It's also, once again, so crazy, because one week it's Trump's going to bomb Iran, the next week it's they've killed someone, then it's they're going to invade Venezuela, then it's they're going to do this, then it's going to do that, and it's just like, fathoming and understanding what is going on is unbelievable, because there is just so much every single day, so much bollocks, so much violence and insanity. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's reaching a point where the only option is to, like, do a false flag attack on ICE or some kind of, like, paramilitary organization forms in of its own that just targets, that kills an ICE officer, and then all of a sudden all of the libs abandon and say, I have full solidarity with the American police to go and kill everyone there and crush everyone and arrest every black person that they see. But there's stabilized footage released that makes it easier to see that his gun was removed before he was shot. Yeah, I've seen the footage. I've seen the footage. All of this stuff is like, once again, I don't think we need to watch a video because it is so obvious, as in the case of Renee Good, that the problem is not these individuals. And even though this guy had a gun, there is no difference. The problem is not the individuals. It is the white nationalist, highly armed thugs roaming around the street, basically given a blank check and an undeniable, a completely unaccountable ability to go and harm minorities, that they then go and target anyone who prevents them from getting the evil minorities. Because by virtue of protecting the evil minorities, you're as bad as them, aren't you? You're as bad, and so you have to be destroyed just like they do. A US Navy intelligence implied that internet personalities were Operation Mockingbird-style compromised by the CIA through their online presence. I genuinely think that there are some people, like, I think Nick Fuentes, like, someone made the point with Nick Fuentes that, hey, actually, Nick Fuentes wasn't arrested at the Capitol, and all of those things, and now he seemingly just sides with whatever the government does. The chickens have come home to roost. 100% as well that this is a chickens coming home to roost. I think that this is a case of the devil's chickens coming home to roost. It's the guy who took the gun said, I have a gun. And one of the rookies misheard it as he has a gun and shot in fear and stupidity. By the way, as well, I was reading, like, one of the articles that I read. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I can. This is from Lever News, which was doing some pretty good reporting from what I could understand. So Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent who shot Renee Good, was a 10-year veteran of an ICE Special Response Team, the equivalent of a SWAT team. Good's killing has sparked nationwide unrest and scrutiny of ICE's increasingly violent tactics. Do we really think that this guy has never brutalized or killed someone before? If, you know, he's some kind of white nationalist who's done that already, who's been doing this for many years and did that to a white woman because he felt like a tiny modicum of potentially being threatened by, like, a car when he clearly wasn't. Do you think that there's not, like, a chance that he may have done that? Yeah, and I do think it bears mentioning that the guy who's caused all of this, in the same way that these right-wing grifters around Palestine lead and enable the mass killing of Palestinians, they enabled this in Minnesota. Nick Shirley, with his dogshit video of him telling you about the evil Somali enjoying at your expense, how all of the evil, how all of these evil Somalis have having so much fun at your expense, and Tim Waltz is helping them, laid the groundwork for this. Like, it's worth mentioning. And yeah, like, ultimately, as you're saying, there are so many examples of ICE doing horrific things, but none of them are recorded. Like, what's going on in their detention centers? They sent people to El Salvador to be tortured by Bukele's barbarous regime, and that was just okay. And yeah, fraudsters rule the world. Donald Trump is enriching himself at the expense of the American people, at the expense of the modicum that there is in the American, of justice that there is in the American justice system, you know? Don't forget to give Nick Shirley's mother her credit. No, we should never forget. Okay, right, sorry, I'll carry on with this. It is stated that many of these police officers were not allowed to do their job, that ICE had to protect themselves. Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan
It is
Omar
utterly ridiculous.
have $34 million in her account? And where are the tens of billion dollars that have been stolen from the once great state of Minnesota? Why are you mentioning Ilhan Omar here? Like, once again, the only way they will frame this, the way that they will justify this, is portraying Somalis enjoying at the expense of good American people so that they can be killed. Barbara Pitt for ICE. Thanks, Marcus Ryan, for the €2. I have no idea who Barbara Pitt is. Is she from the Pitt TV show? Or is that Nick Shirley's mother? Like, the guy has a lady's name as his surname. I saw a video this morning of outside the Texas Detention Center. Yeah, I've seen that. Maybe I should play that because it's not exactly graphically violent. I mean, it's horrifying.
Facility where children are being held. Said here,
Okay, hold on. We'll put that on in a... We'll do this in a second. We'll carry on with this. We are there because of massive monetary fraud with billions of dollars missing and illegal criminals that were allowed to infiltrate the state through the Democrats' open border policy. We want the money back and we want it back now! Those fraudsters who stole the money are going to jail, where they belong. This is no different than a really big bank robbery. Much of what you're witnessing is a cover-up for this theft and fraud. The mayor and governor are inciting insurrection with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric. Instead, these sanctimonious political fools should be looking for the billions of dollars that have been stolen from the people of Minnesota and the United States of America. Let our ICE patriots do their job. 11,000 alien criminals have 12,000 alien criminals, many of them violent, have been arrested and taken out of Minnesota. If they were still there, you would see something far worse than you are witnessing today. And this is the gun. It looks crazy. I guess it looks crazy because of the extra magazine up here is what makes it look so strange. But yeah, obviously the narrative has been pushed by all of those around Trump that actually they all deserve to be killed. But let's have a look at Greg Bovino, Bovine Greg, justifying this.
I want to go now to...
And it does read like a Chris Chan script.
Greg Bovino, who is in town. He's about to address us from the federal perspective. It sounds like they have a lot of information about what happened. We're waiting to hear his words. He's coming to the podium right now. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Gregory Bovino, and I have the privilege and honor of leading United States Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection here in Minneapolis. Some of those brave men and women of Border Patrol and Department of Homeland Security law enforcement join me here today to show support for all federal law enforcement who have been under constant attack in Minneapolis for weeks now. This morning was no different. At 9:05 a.m. Central Standard Time, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien, Jose Huerta Chuma. You can see this illegal alien on the screen to my left and right. That is Jose Huerta Chuma, whose criminal history includes domestic assault to intentionally inflict bodily harm, disorderly conduct.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Nick Shirley went to Minnesota to undermine social safety nets. It's a psyop to make the public hate social safety nets, as AI will make everyone dependent on them. Social Darwinism is back. Greg McGregor, thanks for the £10 and $9.99. Sorry, and I don't think you're wrong at all. I don't think that you're wrong. I've heard some people say that Minnesota is a state that works, that actually, that functions to some extent pretty well. And the reason that, they went there, the reason that they're demonizing it is because, first of all, they want to make life impossible for anyone who is an immigrant. They want to portray any immigrant as enjoying at your expense. This is a tried and tested technique. This is how right-wing politics operates. Right-wing politics is entirely dependent on an other, creating some fictitious other who is enjoying at your expense, stealing your good life. And so by sending in this guy to be like, the Somalis do all this fraud with shitty research, bigging him up with the biggest accounts on X, Elon Musk, I'm sure, bigged him up. I know JD Vance did. But all of these people being like, this is amazing journalism, when he basically just met up with some freaky guy who seemingly is obsessed with Somalians and portraying them as these monsters who enjoy at your expense. You're right. It's about destroying social safety nets, making people suspicious of them, so the government starts to offer less and less to people, and so also they can justify just harming immigrants and making their lives impossible to drive them out of the country.
And driving without a valid license. During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic
9mm semi-automatic
gun.
He sounds like such a little nerd as well.
The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
In the context of what happened to him, he would have just been defending himself if he'd actually done that. But he didn't. He didn't. He seemingly tried everything not to get killed in spite of having a weapon and being able to defend himself. But, you know, who cares? Who cares? Squeaky voice Nazi man is telling us actually he wanted to massacre law enforcement.
Then, about 200 rioters arrived at the scene and began to obstruct and assault law enforcement. Crowd control measures have been deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. This situation is evolving and more information is forthcoming. The officer was highly trained and had been serving as a Border Patrol agent for 8 years. The officer has extensive training as a range safety officer and less lethal officer. As mentioned, this is only the latest attack on law enforcement. Across the country, the men and women of DHS have been attacked, shot at, doxxed, had their...
Bro, this fucking doxing thing is the most pathetic thing in the world. Most pathetic whining.
family members threatened.
Like, I can't believe they even tried this because, by the way, and I hate to like kind of jump around with videos. I am just gonna play something because I think it's worth listening to.
And you know,
Trump like walked back on the killing of Renee Good. Like, listen to this.
They're gonna make mistakes sometimes. ICE is gonna be too rough with somebody, or you know, they're dealing with rough people. They're gonna make a mistake sometimes. It can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say, ICE would say the same thing.
Like, there he is saying it's a tragedy, and now they're just back to lying about this.
And as we have seen more than 100 vehicle rammings over the past year against federal law enforcement.
By the way, also, like, they just lie about this shit. There's another video we're gonna watch after this about like another lady, Mariama Martinez, who was like accused of ramming agents, was shot multiple times. Just hadn't done anything. She had done nothing wrong. And as well, in the case of this is fucking CBS, by the way, under Barry Weiss, so at least it still does some journalism. Like, listen to this. So basically, they accused Silvero Villegas Gonzalez, a father of two, of saying that he tried to ram them with the car, and then apparently that they suffered severe injuries. But then surveillance video that shows that he was backing up and driving away while an agent was on either side of the car, and then body camera footage said, oh, I got dragged a little bit and that the injuries were nothing major. These people are liars. They are just categorically pathetic little liars. And especially in this case, that is the most apt description of Gregory Bovino. He's a pathetic little liar.
We will not allow violence against our law enforcement officers, and we need state and local help.
We need state and local help. Villegas, sorry, my apologies.
State and local law enforcement to help us coordinate.
We need state and local help.
To get
Give us state and local help.
Violent criminals off the streets. Mayor Fry and Chief O'Hare just a few minutes ago did the opposite of that by omitting the fact that the suspect had a gun and magazines full of ammunition.
Yeah, this is Thomas. Thanks for the 2,200 Chilean pesos. I feel like I feel like I would put all of my trust in this guy. He seems great.
In what looks like a situation, again, where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
It's just so objectively untrue. I mean, it's grotesque, but, like, it's so obvious. So obvious.
I want to reiterate what President Donald Trump, Secretary Kristi Noem, myself, Director Marcos Charles, and so many others have said time and again.
Well, being short doesn't actually really matter, and I'm, like, not very tall myself, so maybe I'm speaking from a certain thing. But this guy just has incredibly horrifying aura. And I think it's undeniable that much of his violence and sort of horrifying desire to inflict pain and suffering on others literally just derives from him being a horrible little short man.
If you obstruct a law enforcement officer or assault a law enforcement officer, you are in violation of the law and will be arrested. Our law enforcement officers take an oath to protect the public. We go to work every day to protect our friends, our neighbors, and our fellow citizens. The fact of the matter is that the law does not enforce itself. It takes men and women who are willing to risk their lives to enforce it.
Risk their lives. Also, the law does enforce itself, right? Like, the law enforces itself by the threats that we experience as human beings. The threat from, like, any kind of reprisal from the law. Like, it enforces itself, definitely it does.
The men and women of CBP and ICE, law enforcement, are highly trained professionals who love this country and do this work because they want to leave their kids and their grandkids a country that's safe and secure. Questions?
Commander.
One question. First question, when did agents learn that he had a gun, and did he ever brandish that weapon at agents?
Allie, this situation, again, is evolving. This situation is under investigation. Those facts will come to light. This particular incident is being investigated just like we investigate other similar incidents like we've done over the past.
See, I get why some of you are saying that, like, a highly trained ICE agent is an oxymoron, but we literally did just see that Jonathan Ross guy who killed Renee Good had served in, you know, had served in, like, ISIS SWAT teams for 10 years.
Last several years, it's in the hands of professionals. Those facts will come to light.
All right, going on the next question. So, did he have an additional gun, or was the gun moved from the scene? And I watched the video from start to finish of that woman who was wearing the red jacket, and it doesn't seem like he pulled the weapon at any point. So, did it come from the agent? Did they say that he pulled the gun before, during, after? When does the gun come out?
Again, this situation's evolving. This is under investigation. Those facts will come to light. But let's take a look at the gun. You can see the gun here on the screen there that individual possessed. It appears to be a semi-automatic, high-capacity type, possibly a Sig Sauer 9mm.
Like, he was also with... Oh my gosh. Has anyone's YouTube been doing this recently? This content isn't available in your region. They're not appearing. It might be auto mod. No, I'm seeing
Here
your
with me
messages.
now is U.S. Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino. Thank you for being here. Sir, you are
Also, can we like the stream, please?
still in Minneapolis, and I want to get to a lot of questions that we have that are unanswered. First and foremost is that Alex Preddy approached Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. I want to go back to one of the videos, and I know you can see it there, and I want to ask you about what you're seeing, because multiple angles of this incident show him holding up a cell phone and recording it, not a gun. Did he at any point pull out his weapon?
Dana, good morning, and thanks for having me. The weapon, and we do know that the suspect did bring a weapon, a loaded 9mm high-capacity handgun, to a riot. We do know that. As far as what happened in that intervening moment with the video that you just showed, that's going to come to light through the investigation. That's being investigated, and those facts and those questions will be answered soon enough.
It is utterly ridiculous.
I'm frustrated with us. Have you noticed this? Billy Cthulhu, I saw your message earlier. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to respond to it. First of all, thanks, and I'm glad you found me through Isaac, and I'm really happy to be working with Isaac and stuff. As an American, I mean, sometimes your journalists do ask tough questions, but I think that it's probably just comes from the fact of, like, you're more familiar with American journalists than I am. Like, we do have some that ask tough questions, but we also have a lot of them who give very pathetic softball interviews to, you know, horrifying people. Like Netanyahu gets a lot of softball interviews by UK journalists. It just probably feels like that you only see the case of, like, the best journalists, because they're, like, and Greg McGregor also makes a good point. Sometimes they just have British accents, and so we kind of think that they're asking more serious questions. But there are some decent British journalists, in the same way that there are many decent American ones. However, I would say another problem, and especially a Trump-specific problem, is he has increasingly limited who can actually talk to him in the White House. But thank you for the $5, Billy Cthulhu.
Okay, but the Homeland Security Secretary is not waiting for that investigation to take place before saying that Alex Preddy was, quote, brandishing a weapon. Let's go to video 7, because, of course, you know this far better than I. The definition of brandishing is waving or flourishing something, especially a weapon, as a threat or an anger and excitement. That's just a still photo of what Alex Preddy appears to be holding. There is nothing that we have seen that showed him, as Secretary Noem said, brandishing a weapon. Have you, sir, seen something different to support what the Secretary said?
Dan, I think what we need to take a look at here is the situation in its totality. What happened leading up to this situation? The suspect decided to inject himself into a law enforcement action. What's not being said here is the fact that Border Patrol agents...
I really enjoy him not being able to answer the basic question of, have you seen something different? What's the evidence to any of your claims? And actually, I'd say this, someone just made a great point. Declassified UK, the Canary Double Down news are goated. Yes, you're right about that. Especially Declassified, right? Declassified are always like... If you want to notice the difference between, like, good journalism, Declassified, like, goes out and asks some horrible politician who's at, like, a pro-Israel event. They'll be like, hey, why are you supporting this? Why are you giving them why are you selling weapons? Why do you consider yourself a friend of Israel? And any of this kind of stuff. A lot of British journalists are doing nothing like that. And yeah, all of the audio is terrible. I'm sure Sophie would be screaming at us that this was this is the fault of, like, huge amounts of people being fired, and just, like, cutbacks in media that are terrible.
In law enforcement, we're conducting a targeted law enforcement effort against a violent, illegal alien that was nearby, and that suspect injected...
Once again, notice the rhetoric of these people. Violent, illegal alien. violent illegal alien. That is a choice specifically made to be like, hey, he helped this violent illegal alien. Those violent illegal aliens deserve death. So by virtue of just being near him and helping him, he deserved death, even if our story doesn't align.
Himself into that law enforcement situation with a weapon, and what happened between when that situation first came about and the shooting, that's going to be investigated, and we're going to get to the facts of that.
Well,
what is there to investigate? What is there to investigate? Like, there is nothing will change this. 100% nothing will change this.
Said yesterday that...
Nice to see you, Sophie. He injected himself into the situation. Exactly. He associated himself with an illegal alien, so he deserved to die.
This looks like a...
Like, quickly, I'm sure some of you have seen this. As Mein Kampf, it really didn't like the ICE shooting. And he even called it the Gestapo, but he likes the Gestapo.
I'm a big supporter of ICE. I think ICE is great. I think they should deport every single illegal alien in the country.
I also cannot believe that this is serious, that this is what he's doing on stream, like drawing the gun.
All that being said, you can't have ICE. Because I'm a supporter of ICE, that means that I need to have accountability for ICE.
You like it when they brutalize... You like it when they brutalize unaccountably immigrants, but it's just that they've killed a white man that you can't possibly defend because there's no alteration of the video that you can do. You can't cook up these farcical narratives that the ICE agent was under threat because there is such a grotesque situation in which an ICE agent has directly murdered someone with no way to worm out and build content around it. All of a sudden, you want accountability for them, whereas with Renee Good, you wanted them to kill her harder. You wanted them to kill her more because she was a woman.
And let me explain what I mean by that. If you have a police department that's not accountable, or a law enforcement agency that's not accountable, that basically is the Gestapo. That is the secret police. That is the
So, wait, sorry. Does that make the American police, who are basically unaccountable for what they do, very rarely held accountable? The US military? The US military, once again, look at the... if you want to see the US military, just like the Israelis, My Lai massacre, look how long that the perpetrators got. Just look up, just have a secondary look, and you will see that it's just a few years for perpetrating a huge massacre of innocent people in Vietnam.
So, and now...
Beautiful. And then, but don't worry, guys, he still blames,
Anyone with a concealed carry knows you should always comply with police, announce your weapon, and de-escalate all potentially dangerous situations, at least in my state. The guy intentionally gets in the way and involved in an escalating situation. Absolutely retarded behavior from a concealed carrier. I think you're totally right. I do. I think you're completely right. I think this is absolutely fucking retarded to do.
Ridiculous.
And at the end of the day, if he had complied with the police, if he didn't have the gun with him, like, there is a much higher probability that he wouldn't have been shot. There is. Like, it's undeniable this is the case. And I feel like...
He was not shot for anything to do with the gun. He was shot because they seemingly accidentally fired a gun that he had. Clara Mayella, thank you for becoming a member, and shout out for helping us bring us close to the goal. I believe we're actually, like, heading towards probably making 200 new members in just under 2 months, which is crazy. I mean, actually, it's just under a month that we've done this. Actually, half a month.
Like, that nuance is constantly lost. Because you can easily come to the conclusion that maybe the way that they shot him was wrong. And based off of everything that I've seen, I'm pretty certain that they fucked up. I am. This seems pretty...
They fucked up. Oh, yeah.
Cut and dried that they fucked up. Now, I'm not, we need to wait for the body cam, and that way we'll really know. But right now, it sure seems like they fucked up. But it would have...
He did not accidentally fire a gun. No, he didn't accidentally fire a gun. Seemingly, from the analysis, what it looks like is that one of the ICE agents who took his gun may have accidentally fired the gun, which may have escalated to the situation where they just started shooting him. Potentially, in some analysis I've seen, but once again, as I've said, I don't want to just do analysis.
Never happen if he didn't do that. That's true.
By the way, I'm sure that this guy supports Kyle Rittenhouse for taking a gun to a protest and just massacring people at it.
situation where the individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. What evidence do you have that he wanted to massacre law enforcement? Because all the videos that we have, and I do want to, we just have a still shot up now, but I do, control room, want to play one of the other videos. Let's play video number 1 again. It doesn't look anything like he's trying to.
It is utterly ridiculous.
I just want to skip through this. I don't want to play videos of him getting shot.
You've seen shows him
impeding and assaulting violent illegal.
Yeah, I don't want to show any of this. But there are people who are suggesting that his gun is removed and then it accidentally is shot. Some people have suggested that, at least. Oh, Brat, thanks for the 5 gifted. That's an incredibly kind donation. And yeah, I saw that it's 2-2. Thank you once again. Radical Caffeine. Give dogs cigarettes. I love your name. Ulysses Della Rosa. Enjoy. Zero Sugar Radical as well. And Astron 86. Enjoy your new memberships. W Brat. And by the way, guys, you got to be using your emotes if you're a member. You do not forget to enjoy those emotes. Thank you so much. But yeah, I don't want to play videos of Greg Bovino, like, just doing that, basically. But, like, all of them have been talking like this. An assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response. Okay, Drag the Ripper, maybe you're correct about that. That was just one person's analysis. But either way, I'm not saying that there's any justification for it. In 2022, a Colorado woman detained by cops was detained by cops and stuck in the cruiser, parked on a train track. A train hit the car. The cops were actually criminally charged and lost their jobs. She got 8 mil. Did she survive? No way have Manchester United just scored again. No way! Wow! Holy shit. Sorry, this is a detraction from what I'm talking about. Sorry, a couple of people who I follow have funny comments here. You're a bold, risless Nazi. Just the fact that this is the line with which they're going is truly, truly, truly unbelievable. I don't know if Stephen Miller has actually spoken, but all of them have been so pathetic. Vance is truly pathetic. Stephen Miller's just a straight-up Nazi, so no doubt he's reveling in all of this. Him and Greg Bovino. I mean, if you put Greg Bovino in black and white, the guy just like, straight up looked like a Nazi. So, you know. Unbelievable. It means that you can carry a gun if you're on the side of government/police, people they don't like. Wait, what was that in response to? What does that say? 2A doesn't mean shit. Second Amendment doesn't mean shit. Only means you can buy a gun. No protection by any means. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately. A cue ball with noodle arms thinks he's part of the master race. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. Like Vance, I hate him. Someone pulled up like an old clip of JD Vance. Wait. Here we go.
This is the intention of what Secretary Noem is discussing. I mean, it is, how rich is it that she is saying, showing up to the scene of a protest with a legally owned weapon should be grounds for a person's death, execution at the hands of the state, by the same party and the same administration that praises Kyle Rittenhouse.
By the way, Kyle Rittenhouse took a gun to a protest where there weren't just like right-wingers being like killed for no reason. That wasn't happening. Whereas this person had a gun at a protest where like innocent people have been shot by an unaccountable security force. Kyle Rittenhouse escalated the situation. This person, Alex Pretty, did not escalate the situation. It's not true. He was not responsible for the escalation.
When she is talking about how merely showing up and inciting violence based on ideology.
Sorry, this is too quiet. I'm going to turn it up. I'm using the audio booster.
Against the government, when this administration has pardoned hundreds of January 6 rioters who have then gone out into the streets and recommitted crimes of violence over and over again. What Secretary Noem is saying is not that you...
I also think, by the way, that you can literally just look at Kyle Rittenhouse's tweets, that Kyle Rittenhouse faked crying at the thing to get sympathy, and now just wants to, and also just went because he wanted to kill protesters. Like, that's why Kyle Rittenhouse was there. You can look at his recent tweets. Look at this. Thinking of taking this to Minneapolis. Thoughts? That's not a joke. He killed people. He killed people because he has fun and gains enjoyment from killing people that he disagrees with. He wanted to kill people at a protest.
Can't do these things.
There's no comparison. There's no comparison. Kyle Rittenhouse had you're right. Kyle Rittenhouse had a fucking AR-15, right? Brandished at a protest.
It's not that you can't be armed. It's not that you can't attack your government. She just thinks that you can't do that based on your political affiliation. And that is just, I mean, the uncorking of chaos that this administration is trying to attempt against the American people is escalatory, it is dangerous, and it is a complete...
It is utterly ridiculous.
Kyle Rittenhouse might genuinely be the only person who is too stupid to join ICE. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. He can't pass the ICE test, which is probably just like, pick between this picture of a lion and a giraffe, and he's like, I don't know. And then he accidentally ends up shooting the test paper. Sword Les, thanks for becoming a member. Shout out. Welcome to enjoy being a constituent. We're actually up to 135 constituents now. There's more, but like unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Abdication of leadership. We cannot go down this road. We cannot have countrymen against countrymen, citizen against citizen. This is not the America that we believe in. It is not the America that we stand in. And we must unite together against this kind of very dangerous splintering that they are seeking to incite against people and divide us.
They would hire that. I think genuinely Kyle Rittenhouse may actually be too stupid. He may genuinely be someone who is too stupid. Like, I'm not joking.
You think about
let's listen to what J.D. Vance, who's, by the way, justified this.
What Kyle Rittenhouse really was doing is he saw a bunch of thugs and rioters destroy...
By the way, J.D. Vance here looks insane. Look at J.D. Vance's eyeliner, first of all, and also his face. The guy is crazy looking, and this guy's crazy looking. Best-selling author, Hillbilly Elegy. Wow.
...his community, and no one was doing anything about it. You know, what are the values that represent my community, if not honor and loyalty and devotion to your community? This 17-year-old boy saw no one protecting the businesses, the people in his community, so he went down there and did it. And instead of rewarding it, instead of saying, you know, isn't it
so funny, no one was protecting his community. Bro, what do you think he was doing? He didn't even brandish his gun, and yet you think he deserved it. He was actually defending his community.
Good that a 17-year-old kid who was raised by a single mother made good decisions and decided to be a positive force in his community. They slandered and lied about him. They treated basic manly virtue as white supremacy. And I think you're exactly right. It's not just about Kyle Rittenhouse. It's about what kind of young men do we want to raise in our communities? What kind of virtues do we want our leaders to promote? Certainly not the people who are burning Kenosha, Wisconsin down. We want to promote the types of virtues that exist in Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh. Yeah, some of you mentioned about Nick Shirley, so let's have a watch of this. He disrupted a Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
To do anything, we see you. We see you. We want you out of here. I don't want you here making up anything for your social influencers to try to attack more people. If you want to see fraud, go to Fells Point, go to Hamden.
Like, genuinely, once again, like, the point is you do not care about fraud. There's that quote about like Hassan where he caused problems talking about, who was it? Where he's like, oh, you do this to Rick Scott, right? I won't repeat what he said, but like these people going and targeting random Somalis, like filming daycares, doing no investigation when there is a wealth of investigation about all of the fraud that Trump is committing is insane.
Stop targeting us. Stop targeting us. It's not about fentanyl because you could go to the doctors who started the opioid crisis. Why don't you do that? Why don't you go to the source instead of trying to harass the people who are out here just trying to live? Because you have an agenda, and I'm not interested in your agenda. And I'm going to let everybody know that you're here, so nobody will talk to you. Okay, do that.
Why did he go to Hampton? To like do part of his beautiful investigative journalism, or just because he's racist? Look what someone posted on the January 20th. Oh, wait, where's Kyle Rittenhouse crying in court? Let's watch the whole clip.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski. And there were...
Look at him getting ready to fake cry.
There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
You're like a pug sneezing.
That's what I...
It's so amazing that so many people laughed at Amber Heard crying in court, like where she laid bare the abuse that Johnny Depp inflicted on her. But then they didn't find this funny. They're like, wow, what a brave guy who's like really, really troubled by all of this stuff that's happened to him. Israel behavior.
That's where I run.
Time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break. About 10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case during the break. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial.
Yeah, this man has terrible... This is what happens when I eat fenugreek. I start going like... Shitley was in Hampton because the person in the vid told him that's where the fraud was, which is kind of true after he tried filming a Narcotics Anonymous. Ugh.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's doing brilliant work, I think it's fair to say. Hey, Evil Weevil Beetle, thank you for becoming a member. I love your name. Enjoy the membership, and thank you for becoming a constituent and supporting the damn stream. Just relax for a minute, sir. Did any of you watch, if any of you are from the UK, you may have watched Tracy Beaker when you were a kid, and they always, whenever she used to cry, she'd go, "It's my hay fever, it's my hay fever." Oh, right. Wow, Man United have won. Unbelievable. Okay, let's listen to... Oh, wait. Actually, before we listen to Kristi Noem, after we just saw J.D. Vance, author of Hillbilly Elegy, giving us his brilliant take as to why the shooting was justified, let's see what he says. This level of I don't know how to do his voice. This level of engineered chaos is unique to Minneapolis. It is the direct consequence of far-left agitators working with local authorities. Thank God for the patriots at IceGov. We have your back 100%. You are saving the country. Shame on the leadership of Minnesota and the lunatics in the street. Ice greater than Minnesota. It's great to know that, like, basically, if you murder an innocent person as an unaccountable law enforcement officer, then that is awesome and cool. But then that is totally unacceptable. But when you're Kyle Rittenhouse and you're murdering, like, civilians, that is awesome and epic, and he needs to be defended, and that's the kind of right values that we should be raising. Hampton, it's because of the gentrification and real estate BS. Yeah, no doubt. They be frauding. The real estate people, they be frauding. I mean, Trump is a real estate mogul. Witkoff's a real estate mogul. They be frauding. Let's have a listen to what DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has to say. She is looking amazing at the DHS office today.
But before I take any questions and give more details on the storm and its impact, I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country. At 9:05 a.m., Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
By the way, I think at a certain point, lying for these people, they realize that anyone who supports them, who watched Renee Good be killed, objectively in an unjustified manner, will probably buy this because facts do not matter. They will say that all of the facts and all of the reality are just left-wing propaganda to trick them into denouncing Trump and ICE, and that actually those are brave law enforcement officers who've been targeted by the evil state of Minnesota and evil Tim Waltz.
Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him.
Oh my fucking God. I've seen people talking about this. The New York Times has published an op-ed, which sounds good in practice, right? Minneapolis and Gaza now share the same violent language. Who do you think they're talking about? The IDF? No. They're talking about Hamas and ICE. Hamas and ICE also share one very visible trait I never thought I'd see in the US. Almost all of their foot soldiers wear masks. My experience as a reporter in the Middle East taught me that people wear masks because they are up to something bad and don't want their faces captured on camera. I saw it often in Beirut and in Gaza. I never expected to see it in Minneapolis. Since when have America's domestic forces charged with defending the Constitution and the rule of law felt the need to hide their identities? Hamas fighters wear masks because Israel has access to huge surveillance technology that they have used to massacre not even just Hamas fighters, but also Hamas's family members. Hamas fighters' family members. Thomas L. Friedman wrote this. Thomas fucking L. Friedman wrote this article. By the way, hold on. Edward Said Oslo. Why is the LRB doing me like this? Hold on. I need to just pull this up in the LRB. 1 second. I'm using the webpage archive. I'm hacking. Wait. Edward Said, Thomas Friedman. Palestinians under siege. This is it. Sorry, I got the wrong article. Give me a second. Thomas L. Friedman, right? This guy who wrote this article, I was pretty sure that this was right. Thomas. Why is it doing this? Okay, here you go. Wait. Last October, after 7 years of writing columns in praise of the Oslo peace process, Friedman found himself in Ramallah under the siege by the Israeli army. Israeli propaganda that the Palestinians mostly ruled themselves in the West Bank is fatuous nonsense. Sure, the Palestinians control their own towns, but the Israelis control all the roads connecting these towns and therefore all their movements. So Thomas L. Friedman, when he actually went to Gaza, when he actually went to the West Bank, had to undermine all of the stuff he said, because this guy is a fucking moron. Both clearly present as observers and trying to defend others, yet both were drawn into the chaos and shot at close range. Oh, I can't see the rest, but fuck me. Can you believe that this is real, that this passes for journalism in the New York Times, after the Israeli military engaged in extreme violence in the West Bank, fully backed by the Americans, that apparently actually ICE like Hamas? Just posted on Stream Suggestions. Thomas, thanks for the donation. I'll look at it after. Thank you for your donation.
An agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable that they're actually running with this.
About hundreds of protesters then showed up at the scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects, and a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off.
Yeah, did any of you see that? Apparently one of the ICE Stapo got their finger bitten off.
Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize...
Yeah, notice how, like the Israelis, they draw an equivalence between someone throwing a non-lethal object at an Israeli like at a soldier who's armed with highly militarized equipment, and they pretend actually it's analogous and that the protesters are the evil. And I did see CBS justifying the murder of a journalist.
That the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our...
I really love this rhetoric because you're the one giving a press conference justifying it.
Law enforcement officers. I'll remind you, the governor...
Yeah. This is just like Hamas. Thanks to Thomas Friedman for giving me the paradigm to be able to understand that actually Kristi Noem, like Hamas.
Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist. He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to...
Why is this ICE agent just fucking, like, browsing Twitter? Sorry? Like, I had only just noticed that. Look, she's just on Twitter.
Turn over murders to federal law enforcement officers.
What a great use of money, paying this DHS agent to scroll Twitter.
Protected illegal criminals and protected them from being brought to justice, and even overseen a historic, unprecedented...
I also really like that she just scrolled up and down.
...theft of American taxpayer dollars. Tens of billions of dollars were stolen under his watch, and he allowed it to happen, and in some instances may have even facilitated it.
Right. Oh my god, fuck off. It is available in the region. Guys, I am gonna be back and we're gonna keep covering this. I just really need to pee. So I will be back, and enjoy the BRB screen brought to you by Silent Scythe. I will be back though. I am desperate to go to the bathroom, so I will see you in a second. I am back. And is it gonna have... It has fucked this up. How? This membership goal is terrible, because we were just at 121. Yeah, sorry, I am back. Apologies for running off. We're going to have a watch of this. I do.
Minneapolis is in mourning once again. This time for Alex Pretty, a 37-year-old intensive care nurse who worked in a medical centre for veterans.
It's really hard to frame this guy. Like, I'm sure some of us would be... Like, I don't love, like, obviously, I'm not going to have, like, mega sympathy for veterans or, like, you know, as Larry David shows, we don't have to salute them and thank them for their service. However, like, you know, probably not the time, but also, like, painting him as a monstrous, evil, leftist, crazy character when he was an ICU nurse and like, was he himself a veteran is not going to sell with the vast majority of the American public.
Here he is, reading final words to a patient whose son released this video yesterday.
Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it.
Now his death has fueled an American culture war in a city that has already suffered so much, Minneapolis.
I don't understand how it's an American culture war, by the way.
City of George Floyd, of Renee Good, killed by ICE agents just weeks ago, and now of Alex too, whose body had not even been identified before the administration cast its verdict on this horrific incident, saying an armed man wanting to massacre agents was killed in self-defense. But if we slow it down and look from various angles.
Once again, I'm going to skip through this because we don't need to see this because obviously we all know the truth here.
He thought it was terrible. You know, kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street. He cared about those people. And he knew it was wrong.
Okay, so he's not a vet. Sorry, my mistake. Just also to say quickly, like, culture war is just insane. It is genuinely insane. It is a culture war if you realise ICE is just Proud Boys given badges. Yeah, that culture being the Nazi culture war. They're trying to work to revive it.
He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it.
They slammed the sickening lie told about their son by the administration, saying he was attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs, that he was trying to protect a woman, and asked, please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. After what happened here,
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Trying to portray an ICU nurse as a domestic terrorist it's going to be a difficult one for the Trump administration, I think, to say the least.
Yesterday, it feels as if something foundational about America is crumbling here in Minneapolis, setting the federal government against the country's own.
Or it's actually just the foundation of America being laid bare, extreme violence inflicted on minorities, and just accelerated to a point where it is undeniable, where it is so unaccountable, where it is so grotesque, you know?
States. It was
and that people are realizing, hey, this place is not normal or just or moral. Like, it's literally premised on the extermination of, you know, the indigenous population of the Americas. It's a settler colony.
President Donald Trump, who sent thousands of ICE and border agents here, leaving many immigrants too scared to leave their homes, and now 2 American citizens dead. The governor, Tim Walz, has now called in Minnesota's National Guard to try to keep the peace.
Who would trust Governor Walz at this point? The man has stood up and encouraged resistance. He has refused to partner with us. He's sacrificed.
Just a 6-week occupation of a country. By the way, I was trying to look into... There's not much good reporting I could find on, like, I couldn't find much good reporting on the, like, nature of the general strike. But the BBC was talking about how one place was talking about a 30% fall in revenue due to ICE occupation. You had 100 clergymen who were arrested at the Minneapolis airport while holding a protest, calling on US airlines to refuse deportation flights by ICE. And also you had residents being encouraged to skip work/school and refrain from shopping. In a localized area, that is a problem.
His citizens' safety and their well-being by choosing the side of people who break the law.
Our officers are tired.
Our business.
And yeah, I don't think the National Guard brings safety.
Businesses are tired. The chaos that we are seeing is caused directly by ICE, Border Control, and this federal administration.
Our message is really clear and straightforward. We need ICE out of Minnesota. They are not making us more safe.
People in Minneapolis are enraged. They are out protesting as temperatures drop to -23. The city
Oh my god, sorry, the fucking boiler's making a crazy noise.
is begging its residents to protest peacefully, and they are. But many are worried about how much more one place can take.
I'm joined now by Jamal Osman, who is a city councillor here in Minneapolis, vice president of the council. Jamal, you live 4 blocks from here. You represent a neighbouring ward. How did
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. National Guard in to protect ICE.
you feel when you found out about this killing?
I was home, and of course I have that alert, and I knew ICE killed someone else, because we have not seen anything like this. ICE killing our residents has thrown our city in crisis. Alex and Renee should be alive today. It's unacceptable. I got here. Of course, they did not let our police and our state investigators look at the evidence, and FBI.
By the way, the behavior of this organization, the things that they've been doing, they fuck up their own legal cases. They're never going to be able to win them.
And ICE.
Are they doing that now?
That's what they have done. They have not released any of the information. They collected everything, and that's all we have. They have not given us access at all.
And how are people feeling in the city? A lot of your constituents are immigrants. What are you hearing from them?
It's not immigrants anymore. It's everyone. Everyone. ICE are killing people on the street. People are angry. People are frustrated. People are scared. This is not what America looks like. This is not what Minnesota looks like.
And when you go around and see people, are they scared of coming out?
They are scared of coming out. Actually, the shops of immigrants on Lake Street and Franklin, which is mainly Latino and East African.
This is also a major part of it, trying to drive out immigrants, to drive out people from the community, to make them scared to live in America, to make them scared to live, so they self-deport. That's what Deportation Nation talks about. No matter how much money ICE gives and has, they're never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to recruit enough people to deport the numbers of people that the sycophants who adore this stuff love and desire.
Have been closed for weeks now. People are scared. They are stopping U.S. Citizens. One of my friends was stopped 4 times. Pull over 4 times. He's an Uber driver 4 times. So of course they are picking and stopping anyone.
They say that
Trump won't just pardon all ICE members. Trump will probably bring in a bill to say if you were in ICE, you can never be held to account for anything.
Targeting people with criminal convictions. What do you say to that?
Same thing they're saying. The video we have seen, they put out nothing but a nonsense. They are telling us what we're seeing is not real. It's unreal. So the federal government and Trump administration lost their mind by trying to confuse the public and put out a message. Alex was murdered yesterday on the street. He was helping a woman. He was a nurse. He was someone who was loved in the community. Same as Renee. And still, they're out there, and instead of investigating.
There are just I'm just looking on Twitter to kind of see if there are any updates. And there are just videos of ICE just beating elderly people, all of these things. It's insane.
What do you say to the federal officers and to the federal message that the state is blocking them from doing their job, and that's why this is happening?
It's not happening. We want them to leave our city. They're not, these people, the ICE folks, are not trained. They're not professional peace trainers. They are individuals who are treating our community bad and pull on guns and shooting people on the street.
Trump has this unaccountable militia, and then he has a military led by a drunk, alcoholic, insane man who believes that he's engaging in a crusade.
Do not want ICE here.
How much worse do you think this could get?
It could get worse. It could get worse. And as he threatened us already that he's going to send the military, we don't know what that looks like.
The military, once again, he's sent in the thugs, and then he'll send in the professionally organized military.
Dealing 3,000 ICE agencies that are basically harassing everyone.
Have you been stopped?
I have not been stopped, but my friends, my residents have been stopped. People are getting detained and actually being sent to Mexico, especially the refugee community that arrived here that don't have the green card, but they actually came here, but not by their choice. They were picked up and they were brought here.
Just tell me quickly, what do you think is motivating Donald Trump?
I think what Donald Trump knows he can get away from this because he have loyalty folks around him. He knows that he can get away from it. So what motivates him?
I also think, I don't know if this guy will say it, but I don't think you can actually, I don't think you can undeniably, I don't think you can discount the level of extremist racism that permeates through Trump and also those around him who surround him, who enable him.
This is a blue state. This is a loving state.
So this is politics.
Politics, of course.
Jamal, thank you so much for your time.
Oh God, Todd Blanche. Oh my God, once again. Let's watch this as well. Jesus Christ. The Uber driver was stopped while she was here pet sitting for me. It's so scary. Do you live in Minneapolis? Or is this just like somewhere else? Oh, actually, wait. I want to watch some Hassan stuff because this has been gaining a lot of flack and people aren't happy about it.
Honestly, a lot of Democrats like to say, "Oh, this kind of violence, police brutality would never happen if a Democrat was elected."
By the way, also, I'm really excited to go to Montreal in the cold because it'll be an appropriate time for a white boy like me to be wearing like a balaclava. You know, I'm not wearing one around the UK. That is not the kind of thing I'm going to be wearing. But when there's justification to wear it because it's so cold, I'm going to be dressed like this. You're going to see me.
And that's obviously not the case, considering that police violence never really stopped under the Democratic Party. I mean, people don't remember, but Black Lives...
I actually cannot believe that there is, like, once again, I know many of you have criticisms of Hassan, and to each their own. But what I will say is majorly important is that, like, right now, Destiny and Ethan Klein spend their time tweeting out about how evil Hassan is, about, like, how Hassan should be targeted, about how Hassan should suffer, because he highlights that this is a problem that extends extends well beyond the, well beyond the Republican Party, and the inaction of the Democrats, the inaction of all of these people, the inaction of all of these people is just insane.
Matter initially started at Ferguson, and that was under Barack Obama. And at the time, a lot of Democrats were not very fond of Black Lives Matter as a protest.
And once again, yeah, Destiny, someone who's now claiming to be incensed by people being shot, was always, like, you know, a pretty big fan of people harming protesters during the George Floyd protests.
Movement is a street movement, and I want to believe that sentiment that Democrats are going to be different, but unfortunately, they're not showing that right now. It's always too little, too late.
Show the video I posted on Discord. It's on topic. Give me a second. I'll have a look at it. Thanks for the donation.
It's always, oh, maybe ICE is fine, but we don't want to fund ICE in this current version of ICE. It's never abolish ICE. Now, some Democrats do say that, but there's obvious...
Yeah, I have got to admit, it is kind of crazy that all of these people who have so much smoke for Hassan never, ever go to a protest or anything.
See, not enough momentum in the National Party. They're not listening to the demands of the population, just like they spent 2 years refusing to reckon with the crimes of genocide in Gaza, and even to this day still have the audacity to bring that up as a gotcha when they say, oh, well...
Well, yeah, once again, Democrats failed. They failed pathetically to win against Donald Trump. They failed to win against, a pedophile. They failed to win against a racist, depraved pedophile who objectively did not do amazing things during his first administration. And they failed to win because they odiously cling to Israel.
Well, you should have voted for us, even in spite of the genocide. And as Ta-Nehisi Coates famously said, a party that doesn't care about genocide doesn't care about defending democracy either. And we're kind of seeing that right now because the theoretical democratic process in America is currently being undermined in broad daylight.
Welcome, sister. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you for being here.
The current democratic process that we've had.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend that you listen to Deportation Nation. It's really good on the dig. Fantastic. It's really, really, really good. And they just talk about like how the Democrats paved the way under Obama and all of their failures.
We've had a lot of issues with it already, right? Historically, one could say we never had a true proletarian democracy, and I agree with that. But right now, we are very clearly moving in the direction of fascism. We're in the waters of fascism, and yet Democrats are not presenting a strong opposition that they really have to if they want to preserve what remains of the theoretical democracy in America. They have to put a better fight. They have to put a stronger opposition up against the Republicans, and they're not doing it. So I want to believe that Democrats will be different, but they won't let me believe that Democrats are different.
Like, we've just seen potential leader of the Democrats, radical change, different people. Radical change, different people. This majorly woke change. And it's just Gavin Newsom, who can't even hold his own against Ben Shapiro on fucking Israel. Ben Shapiro would lose a debate to anyone who had a basic knowledge of Israel and Palestine.
Because I can't help but notice their inaction.
The controversial point is that basically all of these people are having a meltdown and are claiming, oh, well, Hassan didn't endorse Kamala, so that means actually the problem is then therefore he's responsible for Trump's election.
This hurts.
Right, let's have a look at this. What is this?
My fucking heart. I really want to like Hassan.
I do like Hassan.
The Assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker. The Assemblyman just said in his response.
I do like Hassan.
We could like him and disagree with some of the things he said.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. The day that Renee was killed, Hassan tweets, quote, "I'd be very careful about agent provocateurs in the crowds, especially in Minneapolis tonight. Federal agents are going to try and light shit on fire or break into places. Important to maintain discipline. The government will try to use this to justify further repression." And then he goes on to say 5 days later, "It's clear to me that the goal here is to keep escalating," meaning ICE agents keep escalating, "until something gives and the people push back, and then use that pushback as a means to implement martial law and engage in mass repression." This is the most influential leftist in contemporary media landscape, and he is peddling the primary counterinsurgent conspiracy theory of our epoch, which is that agent provocateurs go into the streets of leftist demonstrations, light things on fire, and break into places.
Well, look, there is a real history of them doing that in this country. And
by the way, she is right, no? That, like, I mean, Tupac's mother spoke about this regularly, right? She defended herself. She defended herself in court because basically FBI agents had been pushing him towards, had been pushing them to engage in more militant activities, and she got him to admit, basically, actually, the changes they were doing were radical and meaningful.
Around the world. But, so what? I think you could be smart about it.
And also, they're consistently engaging in, like, making people do terrorism. So the idea that they wouldn't be at a protest is interesting to me.
It calls back to my question earlier, right? It's like, is it giving them what they want if we oppose the fascist government with force?
They don't care if bad things happen in the world. Yes, if people throw down and start resisting the police with everything that they've got and overpower federal agents in the streets, of course they're gonna use that for some more fuckery.
I think one significant thing to say about all of this, one significant thing to say about, like, about this is, it's very clear, like, general strikes and that kind of stuff is very, very, very effective and seemingly is working and will cause problems. Like, apparently, Pam Bondi said that the US government was willing to withdraw ICE if they got the voter records right.
But they're going to do that anyway, you know? So it's like we can't base our lives off fear about what their
godmother, Assata. I think it was Afeni Shakur, no? Afeni Shakur, apologies. I think Afeni Shakur defended herself. This is mentioned in the show that you guys all fucking hate, the Adam Curtis thing. Not all of you will hate it.
Going to do. We have to get more powerful or we're not going to be able to stop this. And when Hasan goes on his massive platform and tells people that they shouldn't do this thing, which is like a precursor component for every revolution ever in the history of everything, people out in the streets disregarding capitalist private property relations by breaking things, people going out into the streets and fighting the police and fighting the agents of the state. Every single time in every revolution ever, that is a component of it. Therefore, we have to get over the heebie-jeebies surrounding this sort of stuff.
Once again, I also want to... Maybe there is also something that people don't necessarily get or understand as someone who... as like someone with a platform. And like, remember that this is a problem for me in the basis of where I live as well. And also this will be a major problem for Hasan. You do realize Hasan has 30,000 viewers and does have to be conscious. If Hasan Piker is to say, hey, I think you should all escalate massively and do X, Y, and Z, he will probably never be able to stream again. He will certainly not be able to do the same things that he's been able to do for a very long time. And so perhaps there's part in that. And obviously you guys know the same stuff with the law in the UK. And I do think this guy makes a point in the sense of like, oh, you know, people disregarding this kind of stuff, people engaging in this kind of stuff is a precursor for like an escalation. But I can also see the point of what she's saying. And how she's like, hey, actually, this does happen.
That's my beef with it. Where it's like, I just want him to be a little bit more.
I'm not going to lie, I'm due watching yours and Hasan's stream. You guys have very similar opinions. He just has an even greater flood of out of context or misunderstood clips. I mean, maybe that's true. I think sometimes I enjoy criticism of Hasan Piker and I like understand where it's coming from. And like, I think it's fair enough to criticize because I think everyone should be criticized. I should be criticized, and I'm always open to hearing your guys' opinions about things and the things that you think and feel about the things I say and do and how I behave on the internet. However, simultaneously, I do also think sometimes a lot of the criticism is interesting and isn't necessarily that meaningful. Like, you know, I've said before, like, I like some of the stuff Bad Empanadas does, but then some of it I'm not so sure about. Like, I'm really not sure why he's developed a campaign of like obsession with that Andre X guy on TikTok. The guy who goes and does things, because I think that there's complex questions, and the film No Other Land details this quite well, and I really hated when everyone came out and said, this is collaboration, this is bullshit because of Yuval Abraham's dogshit statement. Objectively, Yuval Abraham's opinion was dogshit. It was so stupid, that speech he gave. However, simultaneously, the film literally details a point at which there are, it details a point at which there is a conflict between the Israeli who comes there and the families who live there, in Masafa Yatta in the West Bank. You can watch the film, you can go into it. People did not watch the film, and thus they came to the opinion of like, oh, this means that they're collaborationists. Now, there is a very, 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 very powerful and important film about an Israeli who did activism in the West Bank. Her name is Anna Mer Hamis. Anna Mer Hamis is a member of the Palmach.
It is utterly ridiculous.
In her videos, it's in her behavior, she did not seem all of that critical. Of her former service in the Palmach, yet simultaneously in Jenin, one of the strongest militant places in the West Bank, and many of the people who she worked with are people like Zachariah Zubeidi, who is one of the symbols of the Second Intifada when he was a child. These people worshipped Anna Mer Hamis. Anna Mer Hamis is like a local hero in Jenin. Her son, Giuliano Mer Hamis, was not so much of a hero because he didn't really understand Jenin in the same way that they did. However, she is literally a hero. But in the minds of some, she would never, ever, ever, ever be accepted because she was an Israeli. And these people who say that are not people who live in Jenin, who interacted with her, and the care and regard that she had for the people of Jenin. And I think that the way in which people talk about this stuff is difficult, and it's troubling, because I don't think it shows like an engagement with Palestinian history or culture, because ultimately how someone is pro-Palestine, or how someone who's a Jewish Israeli can be pro-Palestine, right, is if they abandon Zionism. Like, I knew people from Gaza, right, and they really liked Ilan. Like, they knew Ilan, they were taught by Ilan as well. They thought Ilan was a great guy, and they were like, Ilan can stay. Ilan still fucking lives in Haifa. But the reason that people like Ilan, the reason that a Palestinian is not put off by the behavior of Ilan Pappé, is because his entire life, has been dedicated to basically working at undermining the Zionist project, and because he is someone who is like unequivocally against Zionism. Go to wealthy neighborhoods. I was wondering what you were talking about, but I assume you mean the thing. And thank you for the $2. What is a DNWs? Do Not Worries? Because I'm sure that Do Not Worries has not been up to bad stuff. But also, I will say, on the stuff with like Hassan and the way he interacts with chat, part of that probably derives from the way in which people behave towards him online. Apparently, everything that Hassan done is act like Adolf Hitler and try and harm a dog, and because he's the worst dog torturing monster in the entire world. And so perhaps sometimes he could handle the interactions better. However, simultaneously, you know, I think part of it derives from kind of how he's sort of spoken to and about online. I'm just going to message Isaac because I need to talk to him. I need to talk with Isaac about what the hell we're going to do for next week's No Politic here. By the way, Mr. Christopher, you're doing fantastic stuff. Thank you, and thank you all for making me doing fantastic stuff possible. I really enjoy this.
More disciplined in what he says.
Well, I'll have my...
What is this podcast? What's it called? Party Girls. Maybe I'm going to start watching Party Girls. Hold on. What do they do? I've never heard of them before. It's just pulling up like Stay Solid Rocky Party Girl. Pure politics is kind of petty. I stopped watching some time ago. I still think about Sean mentioning he poked at one chatter somehow. He knew he was online and harassed him. Mentioning he poked at... Who? I'm not sure who you're talking about there. When Venezuela was invaded, Hassan got very annoyed by Bernie's bullshit response about mutt authoritarianism before addressing the invasion itself. Yeah, I mean, also, by the way, Bernie Sanders is such a disappointment in Venezuela. He literally referred to Chavez as a dictator, which is categorically untrue. He did that many years ago, and he never apologized for it or anything. There was something I wanted to search. Oh, yeah, wait. Don't worry, this isn't going to be made into a video. Fuck off. Why is it telling me I've got to choose my... I have to subscribe to get no ads on Instagram these days. Jesus Christ. So, like, once again, this like world of just being hyper fixated on like the politics of Hassan Piker is mad to me. Like, I don't think Hassan has done much wrong. I genuinely do not think drawing reference to Israel and other police forces around the world is in any way wrong, is in any way inappropriate. Like, ICE obtains access to Israeli-made spyware that can hack phones and encrypted apps. Like, okay, that's bad. That is bad. That is something that I do not like. That is something that is unacceptable. But also remember that Israelis develop crowd control techniques. Apparently pointing out that there might be links between the US and ICE is anti-Semitic. Sorry, Israel and ICE. Like, it's mental. It is mental. Like, by the way, you know, Nick Fuentes, he's not just beefing with Ethan Klein. He's beefing with two ends of the political spectrum. ICE has nothing to do with Israel. You can't call yourself America First and think we can tolerate 30 million third world illegals living in our country. There would be no violence if the illegals took their free plane ticket home and leftists stopped harassing ICE. ICE uses Israeli spyware and is actively trying to deport green card holders and students for speaking out against Israel. But of course, this fucking shill who is running cover for the ultra-Zionist paedophile admin once again, because he hopes that they'll make him the next Mark Levin. Who's Mark Levin? But yeah. I just find it mental. Like, the truth is Israel is the best in the world at surveilling and controlling a huge surplus population that engages in both guerrilla militancy and also non-violent protest, resistance, and dissidency. It has developed huge techniques during the Second and First Intifadas to oppress huge amounts of the population that have then been exported to repressive governments everywhere. Israel, the Abraham Accords, right? What the United Arab Emirates wanted out of the Abraham Accords was... what they wanted out of the Abraham Accords was Pegasus spyware that was then used by Maktoum, the Sheikh of Dubai, to spy on his wife. You can look this up. Like, all authoritarian regimes are related to Israel and to the US, and Israel has such an intimate relationship. There are Jewish people who've written about this, people like Anthony Lowenstein. I'd also recommend that you learn about Andy Clarno's work because he speaks a lot about it very well, about racial capitalism and surplus populations. Palestinians are a huge surplus population that have no role in Israeli society, that have no role in Israel at all. They are a surplus population that they want to do away with. Third world illegals, just say the N-word and be done with it already. This is a mainstream anyway. Are you talking about Nick Fuentes? Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he does. He does say the N-word, but maybe he doesn't want to tweet it out for fear of being banned. I don't know. God, Sneakos with Lil Pump dissing Andrew Tate. Pledged only to sell the program to Israeli companies and NATO allied nations. Exactly. Streamer non-comment chick also joked about how Hassan is mean to his chat. Israel and ICE have the same techniques for de-escalating, shooting without warning. I mean, yeah, the only thing that Israel have is a way more permissible environment to basically mass kill Palestinians. But then again, these people are just doing these kind of things and seemingly torturing to death. Hold on, I'll see if there's like a YouTube video to watch about this. Seemingly torturing to death people in ICE custody. Deaths in ICE custody. Right, and then more of this. Clearest video yet of the Trump regime's murder of ICE nurse. By the way, did you know that, Ethan is doing this because his chat and viewers were mad that he said nothing about Renee Good. Like, that's why his chat are doing it. That's why he's doing it. His chat were mad that he had nothing to say about Renee Good beside using it to dunk on Hassan. And this is exactly what he's doing now. Che Guevara, 1928 to 1967. I don't know how to... Choki Allah, I'll just repeat that. How do you say it? Don Palestine. They may kill the revolutionary, but never the revolution. Indeed. The siege of Minnesota, is where you really see the West Bank occupation tactics on U.S. soil. Hassan's constant deflection to Israel is starting to amount to a defense of Donald Trump. He's shifting the blame off Trump every time he does it. Genuinely incredible that you would think that this is shifting the blame. No, it's making a point of saying that systems of oppression are intimately linked. But then again, I wouldn't expect a stupid person whose entire politics revolve entirely around soft defense of Israel and hating Hassan Piker for views it has anything meaningful to say. If Kamala won, this would 100% not be happening, full stop. But the groundworks would be being laid for Adolf Misler, for Adolf Miller getting into power and doing this, or J.D. Vance getting into power and doing this, or X, Y, and Z getting into power. Kamala would have failed. Trump may have died, but someone would have followed in his wake. Someone would have established something even worse. The fact that this account wasn't banned a year ago is proof there isn't a Zionist conspiracy. Is anyone going to ask why their posts were deleted, or just immediately run to Zionist conspiracies? This is the exact type of hard-hitting journalism I expect from Roblox Lorenz. People don't realize it. All it takes is one call from a powerful Zionist to erase you. We must build our online communities on social medias free from billionaires and censorship. By the way, I don't really care about Palestine News Network. Palestine News Network was a shitty channel. But still, there is definitely, I don't think it's a conspiracy. Hugely powerful Zionists are in control of a multitude of different media organizations. Barry Weiss is only really in her position of power because she is a Zionist, uncritical supporter of Israel. Like, that's it. She has no talent or ability to be there. Hold on, let's watch the...
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
Because, frankly, I don't think going around and filming random, Jewish people and, just people in the street and being like, oh, you're a Zionist piece of shit and X, Y, and Z is really, to me, that, significant or a good thing to be doing. I think it gives ammunition to someone like Ethan Klein that's like, I'm being harassed evilly in the street.
There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
How do people think that any of these people who talk about, getting rid of illegal migrants and all of this stuff, how do you think you're going to do that? Because most of those people will not want to leave, and you won't be able to find them without huge surveillance techniques that you need to build, that will then be used by the people who come after you. My God, as well. Wait, so Time are reporting 30,000 dead in Iran. As many as 30,000 people could have been killed on January 8th and January 9th alone. So many people were slaughtered by Iraq Thursday and Friday. It overwhelmed the state's capacity to dispose of the dead. The government's internal count of dead, not previously reported, far surpassed 3,107, blah, 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 blah. What I will say is, doing some research, I did find that there was not necessarily so much, I don't think these death tolls of that many people being killed in 2 days. I think that if that was, I think Western governments would be acting now and acting harder if you had 30,000 people being killed in that amount of time. However, I may be proven wrong, and the internet blackout is certainly making anything serious coming out very difficult, but I hesitate to trust these outlets, I'll say. Okay, let's listen to what Mamdani has to say.
As many people have, by what's been happening with ICE in Minneapolis.
Yeah, wait, I looked into 2019 day protests. When a protest happened in 2000 and... Oh, fuck off. Why is it not archiving this? So when protests happened in Iran in 2019, Reuters reported that they were told that 1,500 people were killed, and that this was reported to them by Iranian security forces. Can't really find much else that reaches a similar conclusion of it being this high. Not to say that 300 people being killed is acceptable, but let's listen to what Zoran has to say.
Do you worry that Donald Trump would try to do something similar here in New York City? And if he does, what do you do about it?
I think just to first take a moment about Minneapolis, it is horrific what we have seen there. And I think that there are too many Americans who are being asked to not believe their own eyes, not believe their own ears, not believe their own realities. And people want to hear the truth, they want to see the truth. And that's why I described that as a murder, because there's no other way to watch that video and come to a different conclusion. And we know that the fear that so many are living with in Minneapolis, it's a fear that New Yorkers are also living with, a fear of being terrorized. And I will do everything in my power to ensure that we do not see that take place in New York City. And I've also said clearly to the president that these ICE raids, they are cruel, they are inhumane, they do nothing to serve the interests of public safety.
So it sounds like the first key step is to dissuade him from doing something on the scale that he is doing in Minneapolis. And if he does, do you have the power to stop it?
We have a number of tools here in New York City, and whether those tools are the utilization of the courts.
ICE is currently in New York and Long Island. Really? I just assume it's not like what he's saying is not like a full-on military occupation, but still terrifying.
Or it's the tools of the bully pulpit, or it's the tools of our own city policies. We're going to exhaust every option to protect New Yorkers. We want to do everything in our power now to ensure it never gets to that stage. But our values, our laws, these are not bargaining chips that we will shirk away from at the first sign of a threat. These are things that we will defend. Right now, you have masked agents who are terrorizing people across this country, whether they're in their home, in their car, out on the street. You have the loss of what it means to be an American in your own country, the sense of safety and the sense of self. That's something we should all be fighting.
What do you
Yeah, I mean, decent-ish statement from Mamdani. Hold on, I just wanted to... I wanted to watch this, because ICE detainee... Oh, death of... Hold on one second. This is ABC News. Oh my god, this content isn't available in your region. Yeah, it is.
Also tonight, the in-custody death of a Cuban migrant arrested by ICE in Rochester last year and taken to a detention facility in Texas has now been ruled a homicide. We go right to 13 Wham's Natalie Calzatoni, who has been following this case from the very beginning.
It's very telling that someone being strangled to death in prison didn't make major news, solely probably because they were Cuban and because it wasn't recorded.
The death of a Cuban man who lived in Henrietta and died while in ICE custody at Camp East Montana in El Paso, Texas, ruled a homicide Wednesday. According to an autopsy report obtained by 13 Wham's sister station KFOX, 55-year-old Geraldo Lunas Campos' death was caused by asphyxia due to neck and torso compression. On January 9th, ICE first reported that Lunas Campos, a convicted felon arrested in Rochester last July, experienced a medical crisis on January 3rd and died at the Texas facility. Last week, a Homeland Security spokesperson told 13 Wham Lunas Campos attempted to take his own life and said, quote, he violently resisted the security staff and continued to attempt to take his life. During the ensuing struggle, Campos stopped breathing and lost consciousness, end quote. The autopsy report noted Lunas Campos had a medical history that included bipolar disorder and anxiety. It also said he sustained scattered superficial abrasions and was witnessed to become unresponsive while being physically restrained by law enforcement. According to federal court documents filed in Texas Tuesday, 2 witnesses provided their account of the incident. The filing says Santos Jesus Flores, a detainee at Camp East Montana, told the Washington Post he witnessed guards choking.
This is just like a straight-up George Floyd moment, just being done in a fucking prison but because it's to someone who they deem illegal, who they framed as a monstrous, evil savage, it was just okay. Because he was an illegal alien, right?
Lunas Campos. Documents say another detainee, Antonio Ascan Frometa, told the newspaper he saw Lunas Campos struggling with guards before his death. An attorney representing Lunas Campos' family says an emergency motion was filed in federal court seeking to prevent the government from deporting the 2 witnesses. He told 13 Wham Wednesday, quote, we are seeking to take their depositions to preserve that evidence for a wrongful death case that we anticipate filing on behalf of Lunas Campos' family, end quote. 13WAM reached out to DHS for comment on the homicide ruling, and we were referred to their previous statement, which says in part, this is still an active investigation and more details are forthcoming. ICE investigates
Exactly. No cell phones, no story.
the circumstances of all deaths in custody.
But mark my words, if these people are just out in the streets killing white people, what the hell do you think that they're doing in a prison where they basically have total accountability and no one to watch them?
And joining me now is Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Mr.
By the way, this guy's Ghislaine Maxwell's fucking lawyer. No, sorry, he was the one who was hobnobbing with Ghislaine Maxwell. Actually, wait. I want to see ICE and Border Patrol. Oh my fucking God.
An individual with a very serious criminal record.
It is
we don't
utterly
need
ridiculous.
help. Thank you.
Hold on. Clara Mayella, they also denied another man parody la necessary medical care for the withdrawal symptoms he was going through. That man also passed. Yeah, there's so many people who've died in these custodies, right? I meant to research it, but I kind of ran out of time. But thank you for the $5. I mean, it's insane. And once again, I don't think the cell phone thing is something that can actually be ignored. I just want to see what ICE are saying right now. And whilst I'm watching this, I clicked on here because you can become a Fox News Patriot. And thank you again for the €5. You can become a Fox News Patriot for that price. Wow.
Now, choosing or making a choice is one of the only true freedoms that any of us really have. A bad consequence.
Oh, fuck off. I'm not listening to a thing with one earphone.
Mr. Blanche, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I do want to start by watching one of those videos of the shooting. And again, I do want to warn our viewers, this is disturbing.
Okay, I'm not watching
Arguing that Alex Preddy posed
utterly
a threat to law enforcement.
It is crazy how little there is of reporting on deaths in ICE facilities. And thank you for the donation. But once again, it's because, like, that kind of stuff, deaths in ICE custody and
it is utterly ridiculous.
It's because they're framed as monstrous illegal aliens who deserve to die. You know? Apparently it's 2025 was also the deadliest year to be in ICE custody. 2020, 16 people died. Already there's a huge amount have died, right? 2004, 32. Bush was going crazy on it. But, like, still, this happens under... Wow, actually, like, under Obama, it's almost higher than the first Trump admin. Randall Gamboa Esquivel. Thanks for the $2. I'll just look into this. Randall Gamboa Esquivel. Family seeks justice. Hold on. Family seeks justice for Costa Rica man deported to Costa Rica in vegetative state. The family of Costa Rica was deported from the US. Randall Gamboa in good health in December 2024, according to his family. However, Gamboa was detained by the US authorities for re-entering American soil unlawfully as he had previously lived there for 9 years between 2002 and 2013. Initially held at the Webb County Jail. Nearly 10 months in September, the Trump administration flew the 25-year-old to the Costa Rican capital of San Jose. It's also, by the way, something that's crazy is because, like, I guess one of the things is there are so many, this is such, like, a new thing in terms of its major level of escalation, like, with its killing, that it isn't as organized as, like, Palestinian prison system, where there have been so many people working against, like, the level of Israeli brutality for so long. And it shows you why the Palestinian cause is so successful, by the way. How good and how, like, competent people are there at getting these stories and these narrative out. How many organizations there have to be because of the level of brutality. And because this level of escalation is a new thing and because most Americans don't care about it, we're, like, barely hearing about it. But it is also something that's always gone on, and I don't think we should deny that. Oh, it's just awful. It's just fucking awful.
What exactly do you see in that video that posed a threat to law enforcement?
Well, I'll tell you what I don't see, and I don't see protesting happening. And this narrative that what was happening on that yesterday morning, what was protesting interrupted by ICE, is not what we see. I also do not see a single state and local law enforcement officer there to help. And that should be the narrative that we're talking about, is that what we have is ICE doing isolated operations to get criminals off the street with zero cooperation from the governor, from leadership in Congress, or from the mayor. And so when you see what we just...
You know what, actually, rather than watching another fucking idiot, we'll watch it. Can you find the video of his friend?
Observed. Was that peaceful protesting? Of course not. That was a very violent occurrence because ICE cannot do their job effectively when local law enforcement refuses to help. And that is what is so tragic about what happened yesterday and what's been happening in Minneapolis for the past several weeks, is that ICE is doing all of this work, doing their jobs, and local law enforcement are not being allowed to do a single thing to help. And that is dangerous, as we saw yesterday morning.
Mr. Blanche, respectfully.
1,200 people were held in Alligator Alcatraz are unaccounted for. Is that true? Thanks for the $5, Nathan Drake. I guess because I've been focused on so much different news over and over again. I just haven't even seen, I haven't even seen or be kept up with this. Is that true that 1,200 people are unaccounted for?
There are only 600 police officers in Minneapolis. There are 3,000 ICE agents. Local officials there say it strains credulity to think that they can back up
3,000 ICE agents. How many people live in Minneapolis? Minneapolis population. God, so nearly 1% of the people in Minneapolis are just fucking ICE agents.
Every ICE official, but I want to stick to the video and what happened yesterday, the specifics of it. What exactly threatened those law enforcement officials?
But thanks for the $5, Nathan Drake, by the way.
At any point, Mr. Preddy brandish a gun?
I can see the same video that everybody else can see, and it's been analyzed up and down for the past 24 hours. But there's obviously an investigation that's ongoing. Secretary Noem talked about that yesterday, which is what we would expect anytime a tragedy like this occurs. But I disagree with you when you say what was there that looked as if.
We're actually, you know what? I don't want to watch this. We're going to finish the stream with this. We're going to watch a video of justice for Randall Gamboa Esquivel. Esquivel? I don't know if I'm Esquivel. I don't know.
Mi nombre es Grady Mata Esquivel. Soy hermana de Randall Alberto Gamboa Esquivel. Nosotros nacimos y crecimos en Pérez Celedón, clase sencilla, trabajadores, muy unidos. Tuvimos una infancia muy feliz. Randall era el alma de la fiesta. Randall era el alma de la fiesta. Él siempre tenía una broma, tenía algo que decirnos divertido, muy cariñoso. Siempre tenía una palabra de amor, un abrazo. Tenía un sueño, ¿verdad? Como muchos, salir adelante, tener su propia casa, su propio carro, etc. Y se fue para Estados Unidos. Con la triste experiencia de que el 27 de diciembre la policía de inmigración en Estados Unidos lo detiene y se lo llevan a un centro de detención en Laredo que se llama Condado Webb. Ahí permanece durante un tiempo, varios meses, en donde nosotros todavía ahí teníamos tranquilidad, de alguna forma, porque podíamos comunicarnos con él por medio de videollamadas. Todos los días hablábamos con él por medio de videollamadas, en donde lo veíamos en perfecto estado de salud. De un pronto a otro, se lo llevan para otro centro de detención que se llama Port Isabel, Los Fresnos, Texas.
Port Isabel, Los Fresnos, Texas. Port Isabel Detention Center. It's built in 1950. I'm just looking into it. Apparently, I mean, it has a history of just abusing people. In 2009, some detainees began a hunger strike alleging violations of due process. Went on a series of staggered hunger strikes in 2010. Abuses dating back to the 1980s from Tony Hefner, a former guard, issued a report on the treatment of detainees held in immigrant. The report found Port Isabel to be one of the facilities in the US to be violating the Fifth Amendment. Once again, it's like this point of it's very obvious. Yes, objectively, Trump is worse than the vast majority of people who came before him. But all of them laid the groundwork. How this place wasn't closed is unbelievable. You know, how the fact that a place like this can still go on with violations dating back so long.
A partir de ahí nos empiezan a cortar las llamadas Y llegó el momento, el 12 de junio del año presente, que se pierde. No tenemos más comunicación con él, cero contacto. Muy preocupados, contactamos abogados, 3 nos estafaron. Posteriormente contactamos al consulado. Por medio del consulado ellos hacen contacto con los centros de detención preguntando por Randall. Sin embargo, la respuesta que nos dan a nosotros es: ya logramos ubicar a Randall, le comunicaron a él que ustedes quieren contactarlo. Sin embargo, Randall dice que no quiere ser contactado por la familia ni por este consulado. Eso nos eleva las alarmas a nosotros a 1000, porque es imposible que mi hermano tome la decisión autoritaria, ¿verdad?
What did Politics? Where's Politics? I can't even see his message. Wait, what did Politics say? Oh, this is happening to my cousin right now. He's been in ICE custody for 8 months. I just found out last week when I rekindled connection to dad's side of my Colombian family. And I'm so sorry to hear. This is awful. Like, just listening to this story and hearing about someone just fucking disappear, like just, you know, your brother and like losing contact with him. It's just horrifying. It's so grotesque that this is what people have been going through.
De no saber de mi mamá. De que no...
There's an Enkepa... diffuse brain damage. Okay.
Y tenía
I should have guessed it from like encephalitis, but I see it.
Una rhabdomyolysis.
Fuck is even happening in these places? Like, like, how is this actually going on? Well, I know obviously how it's going on, but like, just unbelievable that this is like a thing currently happening in the United States, and that's been happening for decades. Just the abuse of prisoners all over the country. It's just grotesque. And I guess once again, it's starving these places with white nationalists.
Tiene cirrosis hepática. Y allá lo trataron fuertemente, con medicamentos muy fuertes durante un tiempo prolongado para una cirrosis hepática. Y así un montón de medicamentos que le dieron y tratamientos que supuestamente eran para enfermedades que él tenía que no tiene.
They are turning into the Israelis. It's just the same tactics as the Israelis. By the way, some of the detainees in Gaza came out having been treated for cancers that they didn't have. This is genuinely just so grotesque.
Que aquí ya son descartadas. Nosotros tenemos nuestro corazón destruido.
And just in pain. His image before and after just struck me the first time. I mean, also the other significant thing is that like you know, he was probably just led to rot in a bed. Can you read through the translations? Yeah, I haven't done that so far. I guess I can start. We feel in deep despair.
Desesperación increíble porque tenemos
because we have a mother.
Mamá que lo llora
who
todos
cries
los
for him
días.
every day.
Y una
Am I supposed to mute it? I don't really know what to do here. And a family that's devastated, that has been destroyed by witnessing so much hate. How far will they go? Because it's not just my brother's case. We have a lot of stories from people who contact us and tell us. They returned my brother. I buried him on July 25th, for example. They sent him back in a little wooden box. Others were sent back in urns, you know. From my perspective, I can't fathom how you can hold so much hatred for another human being.
Todos seres humanos. ¿Cómo podemos odiar tanto?
Hate so much to the point of taking the lives of others. How many people have already died at the hands of hatred? We can't be indifferent. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to read this.
Tenemos que humanizarnos.
We must humanize ourselves because today it's my brother, but tomorrow it might be a relative of the person that's listening to me right now.
No podemos
we can't expect 100% empathy from everyone because we have different concepts of things. But we can't be indifferent either.
Mi hermano
My brother was in the US chasing a dream.
Pero el hecho
But the
de
fact
que
that he
él
was there
estuviera de
illegally,
manera ilegal o ser un migrante
or that he
más,
was an
como
immigrant like
muchos
many
otros,
others,
no tiene por
doesn't
qué
have
ser
to be
una
a death
sentencia de
sentence.
muerte. Yo creo
I believe that every human
que
being
todo ser humano
deserves
merece
respect.
respeto, indiferentemente
Regardless
de
of
tu
your creed
credo
or your
o de tu
opinions.
criterio. Podemos tener
We may have our
diferencias.
differences.
Sin embargo, eso
However,
no tiene
these
por
shouldn't
qué
become death
reflejarse en
sentences.
sentencias de muerte. Nosotros como
We as a
familia
family want answers. We want to know.
queremos respuestas. Queremos saber
The
la verdad,
truth, no
por más
matter
cruda
how
que sea.
harsh it may
Queremos saber
be.
qué
We
pasó
want
con
to know
Randall.
what happened to
Queremos
Randall. We want
justicia.
justice.
Queremos
We want
justicia.
justice.
No queremos que esto quede así.
We don't want
Simplemente
things to stay the way we don't want him to be written off as another statistic.
él es una estadística más. No, él no es uno más. Él
No,
es
he isn't just a number. He is Randall Alberto Gamboa Esquivel.
Randall Alberto Gamboa Esquivel. Y es mi hermano.
And he's my brother.
Es un ciudadano
He is a decent, hard-working, honest,
decente, trabajador, honesto,
noble Costa Rican citizen who is deeply loved.
noble y sumamente amado. Y por esas
And because of these
características,
characteristics,
yo quiero
I want
respuestas.
answers.
Yo exijo
I demand
respuestas en
answers on
nombre de mi
behalf of my
familia
family
y de
and
mi
my
hermano.
brother.
En el barrio donde
In
nosotros
the neighborhood where
vivíamos,
we
en
grew
Sagrada
up,
Familia,
in
había un
Sagrada Familia, they
lugar que le
called the Red
llamaban la
Plaza.
Plaza Roja. Y siempre llevaban
And every once in a while, a circus would come
cada
to
cierto
town.
tiempo un circo. Y Randall me llevaba.
And Randall would take me.
Randall me
Randall
llevaba a
would
ese
take me
circo.
to see the circus.
No parábamos
We
de
couldn't stop
reírnos
laughing for days
por días
at the
de
things
las
they used to
cosas que
do at
hacían
that
en ese
circus.
circo. Era increíble.
It was amazing.
Randall era increíble.
Randall was
Tenía el
amazing.
don
He had the gift of making
de hacer
anyone
reír a
laugh.
cualquiera. Tenía el don
He
de,
had the gift of,
pese a tu
despite your
tristeza,
sadness,
hacerte sentir agradable,
making you feel
hacerte
well,
sentir
making you feel
feliz.
happy.
Los que tuvieron la
Those who
oportunidad
had
de
the opportunity
conocerlo,
to meet him,
lo
they
saben.
know it.
Randall era increíble.
Randall was amazing. Yeah, I mean, just a really horrifying video, and a bit of a bleak way to end the stream, I guess. But, however, I've got to go call Isaac before it gets too late. How about toddlers forced to go through immigration trials and then made to disappear? I mean, it's grotesque, of course. All of this stuff is just grotesque. And the fact as well that the US brings the vast majority of these people over by destroying their countries, destroying the regions in which they live economically, and then people end up going over to chase these economic dreams because it's not possible in their country. Just not possible at all in Costa Rica to chase the dream that he wanted. And America is so happy to exploit so many of these people, put them in precarious industries where they are, the backbone and the basis of something like construction, and then so quickly does away with them when it can find any reason to do away with them. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting and donating. I'm going to be live again tomorrow, and then it's going to be a bit of a slow week because I'm busy on Tuesday. I'm busy on Wednesday, probably. It depends at the news if I can get a quick stream out. And then I'll be back on Friday, and then I've got to work on Saturday, and then I'll have to go on Sunday. I'll stream again. So sorry about the messed up schedule. We'll work it back out soon. So I thank you all for coming. If you want to donate, there's a link in the chat to Project Sarsour, and there's also a link to the community Discord, which you can donate to. But yeah, thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. And thanks again.